Chapter 866. Truth be told, Jinling had an even more precious pill furnace. It was the mountain and river cauldron that Tian Lin Laozu had snatched from Ying Tian Dojo. It was a pill furnace with 3 enchantments. Its status in Jinling was comparable to the only two tribulation spirit treasures in Jinling. However, after Tian Lin Laozu brought the mountain and river cauldron back, Tianlu Laozu and Tianxiang Laozu joined forces to find Tian Lin Laozu. The 3 of them discussed something. In the end, Tianxiang Laozu took the mountain and river cauldron away while Tian Lin Laozu issued a gag order to everyone who entered Ying Tian Dojo with him. Even Lu Ping, who was far away in Central Plains, received the order. Although Lu Ping felt that there was something fishy about this, he knew how attractive the mountain and river cauldron was to alchemists. How could Tianlu Laozu resist the temptation? However, since Tianlu Laozu did not say anything, Lu Ping did not have the right to say anything. After going through the motions with Laozu, Lu Ping retrieved 2 Skyhearth stones from the Pill Pavilion's treasury. Lu Ping was in a good mood. Without further ado, he went to the artifact refining hall to find Chen Lian. Jinling's artifact refining hall only had Tian Lin Laozu as a Grandmaster artifact refiner. However, there were several Grandmaster artifact refiners, including Chen Lian and his master, Sage Enigma Flame. Ever since Tian Lin Laozu brought the mountain-cleaving axe he obtained from Ying Tian faction back to Jinling, Tian Lin Laozu had completely lost control of this 2 tribulation spirit treasure. Tian Jiang Laozu had chased all the blacksmiths out of his immortal's cave. He had only summoned Chen Lian, who had the highest chance of becoming a Grand Master blacksmith, back from Huangli Island as his assistant. The 2 of them had been working on repairing the mountain-splitting axe for several years. When Lu Ping saw Chen Lian again, he was thin and his clothes were disheveled. He looked extremely tired, but his eyes were bright and full of spirit. They were even brighter than before. 6th layer core forging realm? When Lu Ping sensed Chen Lian's aura, he was a little surprised. He originally thought that Chen Lian's cultivation had been delayed because he was repairing the mountain-splitting axe. He didn't think that Chen Lian's cultivation would increase so quickly. Chen Lian pursed his lips and said, "Aren't you making a fool out of yourself? You're on your way to smelting the 3rd spiritual item, condensing the 9th grade golden elixir, and achieving the Dharma power. Instead, you're pleasantly surprised by our progress in cultivation." Lu Ping rubbed his chin awkwardly and chuckled, "There are many things to do after coming back. I wonder how everyone's cultivation has progressed." Chen Lian mocked, "Forget it. Even Uncle Master Tian Shu was defeated by you. Naturally, he doesn't have time to see us brothers." However, the incident on Huangli Island is also a shame. Because Uncle Master Tian Shu appeared, we couldn't go against him directly. Our teachers and elders also warned us not to offend our superiors. Therefore, Senior Sister Black Fox has been shouldering all the responsibility on Huangli Island. "I'm sorry." Lu Ping waved his hand and said, "Why do you have to be like this? You've already done enough. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even my abode on Huangli Island would have been requisitioned by him." The 2 of them had a deep friendship and there was no need to say anything else. Chen Lian said, "Among us brothers, other than junior brother Ji Xianxian who has just broken through to the late core forging realm and is currently in seclusion to consolidate his cultivation, senior brother Xian Yong, senior brother Xian Feng, junior sister Xian Ling, Xian Yu, and Xian Jian are all at the 6th layer of the core forging realm. Among them, Xian Yong, Xian Feng, and Xian Ling have already reached the bottleneck of the late core forging realm and are only a step away from it. Xian Yu, Xian Jian, and I have just advanced to the 6th layer of the core forging realm. We still need some time to accumulate our strength." Lu Ping nodded his head, but in his heart, he thought, they are definitely not the only ones who are stuck at the bottleneck of the 6th layer of the core forging realm. The batch of Earth-rank spiritual items that I exchanged from the mysterious Sky Ancient City has finally been settled. However, these items still need to be passed through the sect. I can't let myself suffer a loss. Chen Lian saw that Lu Ping's mind was elsewhere and couldn't help but ask in a bad mood, "Why are you looking for me? I'm very busy here. Right now, Ancestor Tianjiang's temper is very bad. If I'm negligent, I'll definitely be scolded." Lu Ping asked curiously, "What? That mountain-splitting axe still hasn't been repaired?" Chen Lian said, "It's almost done. It's precisely because it's the last moment that Ancestor Tianjiang's expression has become more and more serious. He's deeply afraid that he will fail at the last moment. Ancestor said that his greatest achievement in this life is probably to repair this two tribulations spirit treasure." Lu Ping saw that Chen Lian was speaking in a serious tone, so he changed the topic and said, "This time, I'm looking for you because I have a few magic treasures that need to be upgraded. I want to see if you can help." Lu Ping told Chen Lian about the few treasures that needed to be upgraded. When Chen Lian heard that Lu Ping wanted him to help upgrade the Nachuan cauldron, he was obviously a little shocked. "I've seen your Nachuan cauldron. In terms of quality, it's indeed better than Ancestor Tianjiang's firmament cauldron. However, with my current refining level, could it be that you are at ease to let me use it?" Lu Ping saw that there was no one around, so he smiled and showed the sky hearthstone in front of Chen Lian. Then he quickly put it away. Chen Lian's gaze suddenly became scorching hot. He said in a low voice, "Sky hearthstone? And there are two of them. Where did you get these treasures? Don't tell me that you've emptied out the pill pavilion? Be careful of Ancestor Tianjiang's wrath." Chen Lian immediately returned to normal. He pondered for a moment and said, "Even so, I'm not very confident. However, at least I can guarantee that if the upgrade fails, it won't cause any harm to the Nachuan cauldron. However, you'd better give me the second precious restriction of the pill furnace so that I can study it in advance and prepare for it." Without saying anything, Lu Ping handed over a jade slip that recorded the precious restriction of the pill furnace to Chen Lian. However, this precious restriction was obtained by Tianqin Laozu at the Fantasy Spirit City's auction. Afterwards, Lu Ping copied it from her. There was still a precious restriction of the pill furnace on Lu Ping. Even Jinling didn't know about this precious restriction of the pill furnace. However, Lu Ping still wanted to leave this precious restriction for the Nachuan cauldron in the future to see if there was any room for improvement. Lu Ping said with some worry, "There's no hurry now. You should first help Ancestor Tianjiang to repair the mountain-splitting axe. After this matter is completed, you can free up your hands to think about the pill furnace. I see that you've exhausted your energy. It's better to rest for a while." Chen Lian looked at Lu Ping in surprise and said, "You actually know about the mountain-splitting axe?" Seeing that Lu Ping smiled and didn't answer, Chen Lian didn't ask much. Instead, he said, "The precious restriction of the pill furnace is very important. These years, although I've been valued by Ancestor Tianjiang, I haven't received the inheritance of the precious restriction from him. You just passed it to me like this. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the sect?" Lu Ping laughed in spite of himself and said, "Who do you think will punish me?" Chen Lian suddenly understood. Under Lu Ping's surprised gaze, he actually burst out with vulgarities and said, "Damn it, you're now in existence on equal footing with my ancestor." Having said that, he ignored Lu Ping's gaze and directly said, "It's not a big problem to upgrade this spirit jade. I didn't expect that you would even be able to find such a rare object like the frightening spirit branch and condense the fourth precious restriction in one go. The nether water sword is a bit more difficult. Although you didn't find enough spiritual materials, you can just barely gather the leftover materials for repairing the mountain-splitting axe. However, the inheritance of the invisible sword technique is not complete. Without the last 3 spirit-nurturing level invisible restrictions, even if you upgrade the nether water sword, you won't be able to upgrade it to a spirit-nurturing artifact. As for the water-controlling flag, I'm afraid that it'll be even more difficult. The one who has the deepest understanding of this artifact is Ancestor. Once the matter of the mountain-splitting axe has come to an end, you should personally pay him a visit." Coming out of the refining hall, Lu Ping thought for a moment before he finally walked towards the back of Heaven Spirit Mountain. At the back of Tianling Mountain, a gigantic pagoda had been erected without anyone noticing. About 20 years ago, the newly appointed sect master, Lu Tianling Laozu, abolished the punishment system of facing the wall in the sect. Disciples who should have been punished for making mistakes were thrown into this pagoda called the 8 Scenic Pavilions and suppressed there. The 8 Scenic Pavilions actually represented 8 types of punishment. For cultivators who made mistakes, It was a form of punishment, but it was also a form of training. However, this kind of training was relatively extreme, and the results were also relatively slow. So far, the disciple who had received the most severe punishment in Jinling was only suppressed by the 8 scenic pavilions for 5 years. The punishment in the 8 scenic pavilions only consisted of the 5 types of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. After this cultivator came out of the 8 scenic pavilions, he was originally a late-stage core forging cultivator in Jinling and could be considered an expert. But now, he was tortured to the point where he was on the verge of death. He had to recuperate in his own cave for another 10 years before he could fully recover. In total, this caused the cultivator to lose 15 years of cultivation. This result caused everyone in Jinling to keep quiet about the 8 scenic pavilions. However, after the cultivator recovered, he discovered that his body had improved a lot compared to before. But compared to the 15 years of cultivation that he had wasted, the gains did not make up for the losses. At the same time, the 8 scenic pavilions was also a training ground for Jinling. The 8 scenic pavilions was a treasure that was in between an ordinary magic treasure and a heavenly grotto heaven magic treasure. Each of the 8 floors could be transformed into a training ground. Under the operation of the formation and the guards of each floor, the training ground could be transformed into various training grounds to test the disciples who entered. Every year, Jinling would select a group of outstanding disciples who had met the qualifications to enter the 8 scenic pavilions for training. These disciples were all in the blood condensation realm. Moreover, Jinling would also allocate some cultivation resources to the various training grounds as a reward for the disciples who passed the training. Originally, every floor of the 8 scenic pavilions would have a heaven and earth spiritual item that acted as the eye of the formation. At the same time, it was closely related to the training grounds of the 8 scenic pavilions. However, when Lu Ping handed the 8 scenic pavilions to Tian Lin Laozu, he had already stored away the heaven and earth spiritual items inside. It was one thing for the 8 scenic pavilions to be requisitioned by the sect for so many years, but if Lu Ping were to add heaven and earth spiritual items to it, Lu Ping would not be so foolish. Just as Lu Ping was about to enter the 8 scenic pavilions, the space in front of him rippled. A spatial door opened, and a gentle breeze blew in. Lu Ping did not seem surprised. He straightened his body and bowed. Disciple greets Martial Uncle Tian Fan. Chapter 867. Tian Fan Laozu's appearance caused Lu Ping to stop in his tracks. You don't seem surprised by the old man's arrival? Patriarch Tian Fan and Lu Ping only exchanged a single word before falling silent. The two of them immediately fell into silence. After a while, Tian Fan Laozu sighed and said, "Old man thanks you for Tian Shu." Lu Ping said, "You're too kind, granduncle. I've already tried my best." If there was someone else at the side, they would definitely be confused by the conversation between the two. However, Lu Ping knew that Tian Fan Laozu was thanking him because Lu Ping could have severely injured or even killed Tian Shu Laozu. All he needed was an excuse in a moment of desperation. However, Lu Ping had only knocked him down from the sky in the end. It could be said that he had spared his life, and at the same time, he had also shown everyone that his strength far surpassed Tian Shu Laozu's. Lu Ping said that he had already tried his best. In fact, he was saying that he was not willing to accept Tian Fan Laozu's favor. After all, this was a grudge between him and Tian Shu Laozu. At the same time, he was also trying to hide his own strength. Tian Fan Laozu also understood the meaning behind Lu Ping's words, but he did not say much about it. He only said to himself, "The future of the sect depends on you guys." Now, including Senior Tianxiang, the first generation of cultivators have already let go of the sect's control. We want to see how talented the second and third generation disciples are, and whether they can support Jinling's future. When Tian Fan Laozu saw Lu Ping's thoughtful expression, he smiled and said, "In this sect, it doesn't matter if it's the sect master or the balance of power. It's all about the inheritance of the sect. In the end, it's for the sake of the sect's future." Lu Ping nodded, but he heard Patriarch Tian Fan continue, "However, a sect can't have only one voice. There needs to be a restraining force. Only then can people have scruples and think about it. Only then can the plan be thorough and the decision feasible. Don't you think so? Patriarch Tian Fan nodded, but Patriarch Tian Fan continued. Lu Ping thought for a while and said, "If it's for the sake of the sect, I have nothing to say." Lu Ping did not refute Tian Fan Laozu, but he was pointing out that Tian Shu Laozu wanted to restrain the sect master not for the sake of the sect, but for his personal grudge. Tian Fan Laozu sighed and said, "You're right. Tian Shu does have a personal grudge." This was the first time Tian Fan Laozu and Lu Ping had spoken so weakly. Tian Fan Laozu was silent for a while. When he saw that Lu Ping did not say anything, he continued, "In a few days, the old man will go to the East Sea to guard Jingzha Island. I heard that you've established a force in the East Sea secret land. The old man will look for an opportunity to take care of it." Although Lu Ping was surprised by Tian Fan Laozu's goodwill, he had no choice but to accept it. Otherwise, he would really offend Tian Fan Laozu. Therefore, he could only say, "Thank you, Martial Granduncle." Tian Fan Laozu turned around and left. Lu Ping stood there for a long time, thinking about something. After a while, he smiled nonchalantly and entered the buying tower with his head lowered. The buying tower itself was a rather unique treasure. Out of the entire buying tower's power, the quality of the buying tower itself only accounted for 1/3 of its power. Out of the remaining half, the quality of the heaven and earth treasures placed on each floor would affect 1/3 of its power. The other 1/3 depended on the strength of each floor's guardian. When Lu Ping entered the first floor of the buying tower, he saw a group of blood condensation realm disciples training in the illusion realm. Late blood condensation realm demonic beasts suddenly attacked them from all sorts of places, but they were all killed by the disciples. Lu Ping scanned the area with his divine sense and knew that the guardian of this floor was only a core forging cultivator who had just entered the core forging realm. Floating in the middle of the array formation beside him was a metal elemental mid-grade mystic class spirit item. Lu Ping was slightly surprised. Without alerting the guardian of the first floor, he went straight to the second floor. The guardian of the second floor was a third-level core forging realm cultivator. Lu Ping found him slightly familiar, as if he was his classmate back in Jinling Side Hall. However, the two of them weren't familiar with each other. This person was using a secret technique to activate a Mystic Class Heaven and Earth treasure. It was also a Mystic Class Heaven and Earth treasure. The Heaven and Earth treasures were used to test a few late blood condensation realm cultivators. When Lu Ping entered the third floor, he couldn't help but stare blankly. With a sweep of his divine sense, he saw a few late blood condensation realm cultivators working together to defend against a half-step core forging realm demonic beast. What surprised Lu Ping wasn't that these cultivators could defend against the demonic beast, but that the person in charge of defending the demonic beast was only a 6th-level blood condensation realm cultivator. "Junior Brother Du, it's coming. It's coming. Block it. We must block it. If we block it, we're dead." Boom. He blocked it. Junior Brother Du blocked it. "Quick, kill it. Don't let it break free." A moment later, the monstrous beast's body slowly disappeared, leaving behind a few medium-grade spirit stones on the ground, which could be considered as a reward for the trial disciples. Several cultivators divided the spirit stones among themselves, and the cultivator who blocked the monstrous beast's attack received 2 medium-grade spirit stones. "Junior Brother Du, you're already a 6th-level blood condensation realm cultivator. You're about to advance to the late blood condensation realm. Why aren't you acknowledging a master yet?" The few of them weren't in a hurry to start the new trial. Instead, they gathered together and chatted while recovering their true essence. "That's right, Junior Brother Du, your Earth-type cultivation technique is so pure that it puts us late blood condensation realm cultivators to shame. You were actually able to block an attack from a peak blood condensation realm demonic beast. With this kind of cultivation, if you attend the apprenticeship ceremony, the sect's enlightened masters will definitely fight for you." Hee, you guys still don't know, right? I heard from my master that Junior Brother Du has already attracted the attention of the sect's 3rd-generation enlightened masters. There are even a few martial uncles who want to take Junior Brother Du as a disciple. However, they're stopped by enlightened master Lu Xianyuan. No one can do it. Enlightened master Lu Xianyuan? Oh my God, is that true? He's a late core forging enlightened master, a famous expert among the sect's third-generation disciples. I heard that he's close friends with the water sword immortal, enlightened master Lu Xianping. Junior brother Du, don't tell me that enlightened master Lu has taken a fancy to you and is preparing to take you as a disciple? That makes sense. Enlightened master Lu Xuanyuan's master is Guotian Shan Laozu, and he already has an earth-type cultivation technique. Since you're also cultivating an earth-type cultivation technique, it'll be of great help to your future growth. But what's strange is, if that's the case, why doesn't enlightened master Lu Xianyuan take you as a disciple? Could it be that enlightened master Lu Xianyuan is going to be like enlightened master Lu Xianping, refusing to pass on his legacy to a disciple until now? Junior brother Du's expression was originally calm. Only when he heard the words water sword immortal, Lu Xianping, did his expression brighten a little. When Lu Xuanping's name was mentioned, the atmosphere of the group of disciples was clearly stirred up. Have you heard? That sword Azura went to Frost Island again. Really? That Wang Qi who wanted to become enlightened master Lu Xuanping's disciple, the one who once killed a core forging Azura, and is only one step away from entering the core forging realm? Didn't he always follow enlightened master sword demon Du Xianfeng around the North Sea to challenge others? Why did he go to Frost Island again? It's said that he's about to enter the core forging realm. This time, he didn't even pay a visit to enlightened master Lu Xianping when he returned to the North Sea. Other than him, it's said that there's another alchemist in the Pill Pavilion called Tianyu. He still hasn't taken enlightened master Lu Xianping as a disciple. Many people in the Pill Pavilion say that he also wants to become enlightened master Lu Xuanping's disciple. It's just that he hasn't admitted it himself, so it's just a guess. Junior brother Du, don't tell me you also want to become enlightened master Lu Xuanping's disciple? Lu Ping chuckled and waved his sleeve in the direction of the group. The scenery around them changed. A gust of evil wind blew, and a fierce tiger with white forehead and eyes that had reached the core forging realm jumped out of the forest with a roar. It stared at them like a tiger watching its prey. Oh no, why did the scene suddenly change? We haven't rested enough. Oh no, how did this happen? This tiger demon is actually at the core forging realm. No way, this is bad. When we go back, we must complain. This matter must be reported to Sect Master Laozu. He must punish those guards severely. A green light flashed in Lu Ping's eyes as he looked at the guard of the third floor. A third-level core forging realm cultivator was like an ant on a hot pan, circling around a pool of heaven and earth spirit water. He couldn't understand why a core forging realm demonic beast would appear on the third floor of the Eight Visions Tower when there were clearly only upper mystic level spirit items. Lu Ping passed by the fourth floor and arrived at the fifth floor. This was the floor that Yuan Xuanzhan was guarding. The Eight Visions Tower's guards were extremely strange existences. Apart from the Eight Visions Tower's eighth floor, which was the true control center of the Eight Visions Tower, there was a stone tablet in the center of the formation that could be used by cultivators to refine. Moreover, these stone tablets were different from the Real Mansion guarding stone tablets. After refining them, the cultivator would only be able to control the situation on the floor the tablet was on. Not only would the cultivator be under the control of the Real Mansion guarding stone tablet, but the cultivator who refined each floor's stone tablet would also no longer be able to escape the Eight Views Pavilion's control. To be more precise, they would no longer be able to escape Lu Ping's control. Even if these cultivators left the Eight Visions Pagoda, their cultivation and spells would still be affected by the Eight Visions Pagoda. The power of the Eight Visions Pagoda would also depend on the cultivation of the guardians. Simply put, these guardians were equivalent to the slaves of the Eight Visions Pagoda. At present, the Eight Visions Tower had only condensed 8 treasures. Therefore, these cultivators who refined the stone tablets on each floor, no matter how talented they were, could only increase their cultivation to the 8th stage of the core forging stage. The spiritual objects placed inside would also not exceed the upper earth level. Once the Eight Visions Tower passed the first lightning tribulation, the spiritual objects inside could be placed at the lower earth level, and the guards on each floor could also have the possibility of condensing their Dharma power. In this way, The 8 Visions Tower became a 2 Tribulations spiritual treasure. The spiritual objects could be placed at the middle earth level, and the guards on each floor could also have the possibility of advancing to the middle Dharma power. After the 8 Visions Tower passed the 3rd Lightning Tribulation, it became a pure Yang-level spiritual treasure. Then, the guards would also have the opportunity to become great cultivators. However, even if these cultivators became great cultivators, no matter how powerful they were in front of others, as long as the 8 Visions Tower was activated, these people could only obediently return to be guards inside. Chapter 868. Although the 8 Scenic Pavilion restricted the strength and freedom of each floor's guardian, it was undeniable that the 8 Scenic Pavilion also gave the guardians the possibility of rapidly increasing their cultivation. Some cultivators who had reached a bottleneck but had yet to surpass the 8th stage of the core forging stage could take the opportunity to break through and reach a higher stage if they volunteered to become guardians of the 8th Scenic Pavilion. Moreover, some cultivators who had no hope of reaching the Dharma stage might have the possibility of advancing to the Dharma stage as the 8th Scenic Pavilion became a spiritual treasure. Naturally, that was only a possibility. With the assistance of the 8 Scenic Pavilions, they would have a higher chance of going further compared to the cultivators outside the 8 Scenic Pavilions. That was also why some cultivators would volunteer to become the guardians of the 8 Scenic Pavilions. Truth be told, this was a mutually beneficial and win-win method that the sect had opened up for the cultivators who had lost their path to cultivation. However, this new method had been refined by Lu Ping. In other words, all cultivators who used this method would be restricted by Lu Ping in the future. This was also the reason why Tianlin Laozu had insisted on taking the 8th Scenic Pavilion from Lu Ping and placing it in the back mountain of Tianling Mountain. At least in name, this treasure had to be under the control of Zhenling. This way, the risk of Lu Ping wielding this treasure would be minimized. With the cover of the sect, this power, which was highly likely to grow to an unimaginable level in the future, would not die prematurely. When Lu Ping arrived at the 5th floor, Yuan Xuanzhan was meditating with his eyes closed. His aura seemed to merge with the entire 8th Scenic Pavilion. Very quickly, he sensed Lu Ping's arrival. Lu Ping looked at Yuan Xuanzhan, who had also opened his eyes and was looking at him calmly. He nodded. Very good, you have refined the 5th floor's Guardian Stone Tablet. Your cultivation has also been pushed to the peak of the 5th stage of the core forging stage. The 5th floor of the pavilion is now under your control. Yuan Xuanzhan's lips curled into a self-deprecating smile. Can I refuse? Lu Ping smiled and took out a stone. Everything around the pavilion seemed to become much heavier. Yuan Xuanzhan looked at the stone in Lu Ping's hand and narrowed his eyes. This is a magnetic absorbing stone? Lu Ping said, yes, this is indeed a magnetic absorbing stone. It is a high-grade Earth-class Earth attribute spiritual object and is also the guardian spirit of the 5th floor. From now on, you will use it to guard the 5th floor. Yuan Xuanzhan snorted coldly. You sure are generous. This magnetic absorbing stone is an extremely special existence among high-grade Earth-class spiritual objects. In order to conserve spiritual objects for our disciples to refine, the 8th Scenic Pavilion mostly uses mystic spiritual objects. You brought out such a large high-grade Earth-class spiritual object. Aren't you afraid that my sect's Laozu will rush in and snatch it? Lu Ping smiled. They won't rush in. I still have some use for this magnetic absorbing stone. It's just that this 8th Scenic Pavilion is only used to train blood condensation disciples. It's a waste. I'll use it here for now. I'll take it back in the future. Lu Ping left the 5th floor and went straight to the 8th floor where the Guardian Stone Tablet was placed. He sent out a stream of dense true yuan towards the small pavilion. The entire 8th Scenic Pavilion lit up from the 1st floor up. The colorful light illuminated the entire back mountain of Tianling Mountain. At this time, of the 4 Laozu guarding Tianling Mountain, Tianxiang Laozu only glanced in the direction of the back mountain in surprise. Tianling Laozu frowned. Laozu Tianshan was a little surprised, while Laozu Tianshu was completely at a loss. Not long after, a disciple who was training in the 8th Scenic Pavilion rushed all the way to the 3rd floor. Out of curiosity, he walked up the stairs to the 4th floor. He didn't expect that the pavilion, which was filled with restrictions, would suddenly open. This disciple thought that it was another training ground set up by the sect. Naturally, he wouldn't miss this opportunity. In just the time it takes for a joss stick to burn, a peak blood condensation disciple with a body full of injuries appeared outside the 8 scenic pavilion. When someone rushed over after hearing the news, the disciple only managed to say a few words: 4th floor, core forging training ground. Then he completely fainted. The Pill Pavilion's examination finally began under the anticipation of Junling and the various subordinate forces and clans. Those who could participate in this examination were all alchemists. Most of them were from the 3rd and 4th generation of Junling. There were also alchemists from Junling's subordinate forces who hadn't reached the rank of Master Alchemist yet. There were more than 100 people in total. Among them, nearly 70 were alchemists nurtured by Junling, and nearly 40 were alchemists from the subordinate forces. The examination was divided into 4 parts. The first part was to randomly choose a mid-stage blood condensation pill recipe from the questions given by Junling. The second part was to randomly choose a pill recipe to concoct, but this time, it was a late-stage blood condensation pill. The third part was to randomly choose a pill recipe to concoct a half-step core forging pill. The spiritual herbs used for these 3 tests were provided by Junling for free. Even alchemists who couldn't concoct late-stage blood condensation pills could use spiritual herbs to practice. However, when it came to concocting half-step core forging pills, alchemists who couldn't concoct late-stage blood condensation pills were disqualified. After all, Junling's spiritual herbs weren't for nothing. Knowing that alchemists couldn't even concoct late-stage blood condensation pills, how could they allow alchemists to concoct half-step core forging pills? In the 4th round, the pill refiners had to choose a pill that they were good at, and the quality of the pill had to be at least at the late blood condensation realm. If the first 3 rounds were a comprehensive test, then the last round was a competition between the best pill refiners. The results of the 4 tests would be evaluated by an examiner consisting of Grandmaster alchemists from Junling's subordinate forces. Based on this evaluation, the ranking of each alchemist would be determined. The top 10 alchemists would be awarded prizes from Junling and the examiners themselves. Lu Ping couldn't help but curse in his heart when he saw the process of the exam. He felt that the entire process had nothing to do with him. In fact, when he thought about it, the examiners were all ordinary alchemists. The pills they concocted were all blood condensation realm pills. These pills were more than enough for the examiners to evaluate. Even if he said a few words, what could he do? Even if there were 1 or 2 disciples who managed to advance to Grandmaster level in this exam, they would only be beginners. Those who could become examiners were all immersed in refining core forging level pills for hundreds of years. In front of them, even an early core forging level pill could be evaluated by them. How could an alchemy grandmaster like him even need to make a move? Lu Ping carefully watched the entire exam. There were only 3 things he could do. First, before the exam, all the examiners, including the main examiner, would practice their alchemy skills in Pellet Pavilion. As a Grandmaster alchemist and the main examiner, Lu Ping would naturally be the last to perform his alchemy skills. Lu Ping felt indignant in his heart. This was clearly an attempt to force him to abdicate. If the pills Lu Ping refined were not as good as the pills refined by the Grandmaster alchemists before him, then Lu Ping would really be in trouble. Not only would he lose face, but Junling's image would also be tarnished. Of course, this was also Lu Ping's opinion after knowing the process of the exam. If he was really forced to do something beyond his ability, Lu Ping wouldn't believe that his alchemy skills would be inferior to those Grandmaster alchemists. The second thing was more or less related to the exam. That was, Lu Ping had the final right to evaluate the pills refined by each alchemist who participated in the exam. In other words, Lu Ping had the power to decide the final result of each alchemist in the exam. This seemed to be powerful, but in fact, as mentioned before, when the real evaluation of these pills began, there was no need for Lu Ping. The level of those Grandmaster alchemists was enough. Lu Ping was at best a decoration. He couldn't frequently agree with those Grandmaster examiners. Otherwise, where would Lu Ping put his face as an alchemist Grandmaster? Of course, It was not that there was no opportunity for Lu Ping to perform. If during the process of alchemy, someone refined a pill of similar quality and quantity, at this time, Lu Ping, as the chief examiner, would have to step forward. However, such an opportunity was almost impossible in Lu Ping's opinion. The third thing was just an opportunity to highlight the existence of Lu Ping, and that was to award the top 10 alchemists. This opportunity was grand because of his identity as a grandmaster, but in Lu Ping's view, it was completely exchanged with his own treasures. Lu Ping did not forget that in addition to the rewards from the sect, all the examiners had to give out their own rewards. And as a grandmaster, Lu Ping was the most miserable one. Now, Lu Ping was in the square of the Pill Pavilion, watching many alchemists, as well as many cultivators from Junling and various affiliated forces and families who came to watch the exam, cheering because of Lu Ping's appearance. Especially the disciples of Junling, they worshipped Lu Ping like an idol, which made Lu Ping feel at a loss. Lu Ping looked around and saw that there were a few seats in the east, west, and south of the square, all of which were reserved for the examiners. Among them, there were 3 seats in the south, and the most conspicuous one was the chief examiner of this exam, the alchemist grandmaster sage Lu Xianping. The square of the Pill Pavilion was evenly divided into 108 areas, and each area was occupied by an alchemist participating in the exam. Among them, about 80 alchemists had their own alchemy furnace, and the remaining alchemists would apply to Junling. Junling would provide alchemy furnaces from the underground pill room of the Pill Pavilion for them to use in the exam. However, these alchemy furnaces were all low-grade magic artifacts, and the alchemists participating in the exam mainly used low-grade magic artifacts. In the entire exam, including the chief examiner, Lu Ping, there were a total of 9 examiners. Lu Ping turned to look at his sides and saw that on his left and right were Sage Xian Yu and Sage Xian Yan. Both of them were grandmasters of Junling. On the east side were enlightened Master Xian Jing and 2 other master alchemists that Lu Ping didn't know. Lu Ping guessed that they were from one of Zhenling's sect's subsidiary forces. On the west side were enlightened Master Xian Dian and another master alchemist from one of Zhenling's sect's subsidiary forces. And at the bottom was enlightened Master Xian Fong. Chapter 869. Lu Ping looked at the hundreds of alchemists in the square. 2/3 of them were using low-grade cauldrons, and less than 1/3 were using mid-grade cauldrons. As for high-grade cauldrons, none of them were using high-grade ones. In the North Sea, there was an unspoken rule that only grandmaster alchemists could use high-grade pill furnaces. Moreover, most of the North Sea's grandmaster alchemists only had a mid-grade pill furnace. If they wanted to refine high-grade pills, they would sometimes have to ask for help from forces that had high-grade pill furnaces. Fortunately, these grandmaster alchemists had high statuses. Generally, as long as they asked for help, the major forces and families would rarely refuse. Even in the Pill Pavilion, Tianlu Laozu would sometimes agree to use Junling's high-grade pill furnaces for those grandmaster alchemists who were on good terms with him. Looking at this scene, Lu Ping could not help but lament the poverty of the North Sea's cultivation world. He thought back to the time when he participated in the Northern Alliance's alchemy conference in the East Sea. There were many blood condensation cultivators who had not even succeeded in refining core forging pills. Many of them used high-grade pill furnaces, and some even used top-grade pill furnaces. Although these people represented the major powers and clans behind them, at the very least, the subsidiary powers and clans of Zhenling's sect would not be able to provide high-grade pill furnaces for these cultivators to use in the Pill Pavilion's examination. Just as Lu Ping's imagination was running wild, the host of the alchemy conference, Spiritual Master Xian Dian, announced the start of the conference. Tianlu Laozu had 4 disciples, Xian Yan, Xian Jing, Tian Qin, and Xian Dian. Among these 4, except for Tian Qin Laozu, who had surpassed his predecessors, the other 3 were all grandmaster alchemists. Spiritual Master Xuandian was fine. He had only been a disciple of the Forsaken Sky Cauldron ancestor for a short period of time. His knowledge of the enmity between the Sky Zither ancestor and the Heavenly Spirit ancestor was very vague. On the other hand, Spiritual Master Xian Yan and Spiritual Master Xian Jing were hostile towards Lu Ping because of the matter between Tianling Laozu and Laozu. Especially in this Pill Pavilion's examination, Lu Ping was sitting at the head of the table. Moreover, he was one of the only 2 third-generation disciples among the 9 Grandmaster alchemists. This made Spiritual Master Xian Yan, who sat next to Lu Ping, and Spiritual Master Xian Jing, who sat to the east, felt very uncomfortable. But the two had no choice but to endure. Lu Ping's position as the pavilion head proctor was personally appointed by the Forsaken Heavenly Cauldron's cultivation base and alchemy skills. Even if the two were dissatisfied, they had to admit that they couldn't compare to Lu Ping in either. The only thing that the two of them criticized was Lu Ping's status as a third-generation disciple. But when they thought about Tian Shu Laozu, they had no choice but to swallow their dissatisfaction. Before the Pill Pavilion's examination, the 9 examiners would come forward to practice their alchemy skills, also known as the Pill Exhibition. Although it was before the examination, it was indeed one of the highlights of the entire examination. At this time, a large number of cultivators from Zhenling and its affiliated forces had gathered outside the Pill Pavilion square. Among them, there were also many alchemists who had not participated in the examination. Most of them were Zhenling's second-generation disciples. Most of them had come for the Pill Exhibition before the examination. The first to go on stage was Zhenling's alchemy grandmaster. Among the third-generation disciples, he was second only to Grandmaster Lu Xianping, Taoist Master Xianfang. Taoist Master Xianfang took out a small bag from his waist. This was a storage bag specially used by Taoist Master Xianfang to store his alchemy furnace. Taoist Master Xianfang shook the storage bag, and a square alchemy furnace floated out of the bag. Dang! The 3 feet tall alchemy furnace fell on the square and made a crisp sound when it hit the blue stone on the ground. Lu Ping was very familiar with this alchemy furnace. It was the high-grade alchemy furnace that Lu Ping had used when he became an alchemy grandmaster. Later, because Lu Ping had a better Nachuan cauldron, he gave this alchemy furnace to the new alchemy grandmaster, Taoist Master Xianfang. Colored glass grass, ancient vine leaves, 1,000 clear branches. Lu Ping just looked at the 1,000-year spirit grass that Taoist Master Xianfang took out. He knew that he was going to refine the ancient glass pill, which was a commonly used pill in the middle stage of the core forging stage. After all these years, Taoist Master Xianfang's alchemy skills had also improved greatly. Although the ancient glass pill was not the best pill in the middle stage of the core forging stage, it was still the best pill to show the alchemy skills of an alchemy grandmaster. This kind of pill only took a short time to refine, at most half a day. In fact, this was to not affect the normal progress of the alchemy exam. It seemed that this alchemy exhibition was not peaceful. Although it was to demonstrate alchemy skills to the younger generation, and the alchemy skills between the grandmasters were also secretly competing with each other. On the stage, Lu Ping could not help but show a trace of a sarcastic smile. If it was just putting the spirit grass into the alchemy furnace to refine the pill, the proportion of time in the whole alchemy process was not high. The real time-consuming part was the large amount of preparation work before the alchemy. For this alchemy exhibition, the preparation work was obviously completed by the alchemy grandmasters. What was shown in front of everyone was only the last refining process of the spirit grass into the furnace. As Taoist Master Xianfang snapped his fingers, an orange flame began to burn at the bottom of the high-grade alchemy furnace. The alchemy exhibition had officially begun. However, when Lu Ping looked at the orange flame of Taoist Master Xianfang, he showed a trace of surprise. A middle-grade earth-level small orange flame. Previously, Taoist Master Xianfang had only used a high-grade profound-level spirit fire. This was because after he became an alchemy grandmaster, Tianlu Laozu had specially rewarded him with a heaven and earth-level spirit fire. It seemed like enlightened Master Xianfang had gained a lot from his time in the Middle Earth. In terms of alchemy, the little orange fire was much stronger than the Earth-class mid-grade Shen Tian spirit-burning fire Lu Ping had. However, after using a high-grade spirit stone, the profound sky spirit fire's grade would temporarily rise to a high-grade earth-level spirit fire. This was something that the small orange flame could not compare to. Following behind Taoist Master Xianfang was an alchemy grandmaster called Li Yenshan. He was a new alchemy grandmaster who had emerged from the forces under Jinling. In recent years, this Grandmaster Li Yenshan had been in the limelight in the areas under Jinling's control. Of course, this was also because Taoist Master Xian Fong and Lu Ping were in the Middle Earth. Grandmaster Li Yenshan also took out a high-grade alchemy furnace. However, this alchemy furnace was rusty and damaged. Even so, no matter if it was an alchemy grandmaster or an ordinary cultivator, none of them laughed at him. For a rogue cultivator like Grandmaster Li Yenshan to be able to take out a high-grade alchemy furnace was already very impressive. Especially those alchemy grandmasters, many of them even had looks of envy on their faces. A light red flame was burning in his palm. Lu Ping recognized that this was a high-grade earth-level spirit fire. It was called the lightning strike flame. Legend has it that this flame was formed when a spirit wood was struck by lightning and burned for many years. After Li Yenshan was Taoist Master Xiandian. As the last disciple of Fornax Laozu, Taoist Master Xiandian was a modest person. The heaven and earth level spirit fire he used was also a mid-grade earth level spirit fire. Next were two alchemy grandmasters from other forces. Their alchemy furnaces were both high-grade, but their spirit fires were only low-grade earth level spirit fires. When Taoist Master Xianjing stood up, he intentionally or unintentionally glanced in the direction of Lu Ping. However, Lu Ping did not even look at him. In the past, Taoist Master Xianjing used the spirit stealing technique to steal 1/3 of the medicinal properties of the forging spirit pill that Tianling Laozu sent to the pill pavilion. This almost caused Liang Tianfeng Laozu to fail in refining the Tianfeng leaf. At that time, it was thanks to Lu Ping that he had mastered the refining method of the minor forging spirit pill, which helped Liang Tianfeng Laozu condense a good 7th-grade golden pill. Otherwise, Jinling might have lost a Fa Xiang Laozu. After this incident, Tianlu Laozu was furious, and Taoist Master Xianjing's cultivation was almost abolished. From then on, all the affairs of the pill pavilion were no longer handed over to him. However, although Taoist Master Xianjing's character and cultivation were not good, his alchemy skills were really brilliant. Not to mention the ingenuity of the spirit-stealing technique, just by looking at the disciple he taught, Taoist Master Xianfang, and his status among the third-generation disciples of the pill pavilion, it could be seen that this person had real skills. If it were not for a monstrous genius like Lu Ping and Jinling, Taoist Master Xianfang would have become an existence that could call the wind and summon the rain among the third-generation disciples of Jinling. Taoist Master Xianjing used 1/3 of the stolen forging spirit pill to successfully refine a middle-grade earth-level spirit object. After advancing to the late stage of core forging, his alchemy skills had really improved. A pill furnace appeared on the square of the pill pavilion in front of Lu Ping, who looked as if he had seen a ghost. Not only Lu Ping, but the other alchemy grandmasters present were also shocked. The cultivators watching the scene even exclaimed. Taoist Master Xianjing actually took out a top-grade pill furnace. The cultivators outside the square naturally marveled at the appearance of a top-grade pill furnace, but Lu Ping and the others were greatly surprised, because they all recognized this top-grade pill furnace. It was the pill furnace used by Tianqin Laozu on a daily basis. They didn't expect that he would actually ask for it from Tianqin Laozu. The only person in the square who was not surprised was Taoist Master Xianyan. Among the 4 disciples of Tianlu Laozu, Taoist Master Xianjing had the best relationship with Tianqin Laozu. Although Taoist Master Xianjing's character was somewhat flawed and narrow-minded, but it was undeniable that his protection of Tianqin Laozu came from the bottom of his heart. When Tianqin Laozu entered Tianlu Laozu's tutelage, she was still a little girl, and Taoist Master Xianjing protected her like an elder brother. When it came to the friendship between Tianlu Laozu's disciples, the relationship between Tianqin Laozu and Taoist Master Xianjing was the deepest. Taoist Master Xianyan was not surprised that Taoist Master Xianjing was able to ask Tianqin Laozu for a top-grade pill furnace. A mid-grade earth-level heaven and earth spirit fire. This was the mid-grade earth-level heaven and earth spirit fire that Taoist Master Xianjing had refined when he had advanced to the late core forging stage. In addition to the high-grade earth-level heaven and earth spirit fire that he had refined when he had advanced to the mid-core forging stage, the quality of this heaven and earth spirit fire was almost at the same level. Lu Ping looked at the spirit herbs that Taoist master Xian Jing took out and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The illusionary pill was an elixir of the highest quality among the late-core forging stage elixirs. The difficulty of refining it was also quite high. Usually, if an alchemist could successfully refine this kind of elixir, it usually meant that he or she had the qualifications to refine elixirs that were half a step into the Dharma realm. He didn't expect that Taoist master Xian Jing's alchemy skills would improve so quickly. Lu Ping couldn't help but look at Taoist master Xian Yan and Taoist master Xian Yu on his side. Since Taoist master Xian Jing had taken out the illusionary pill, these two seemed to have elixirs that were at least half a step into the Dharma realm. Chapter 870. In fact, there was another alchemy master in Jinling. That was Tianqin Laozu's fifth disciple, Chu Xianting. Moreover, Chu Xuanting's talent in alchemy was not inferior to immortal Xian Feng's. She was also quite famous among the third generation of Jinling's disciples. However, Chu Xianting grew up in the East Sea. After returning to the North Sea with Tianqin Laozu, she was not used to it. In desperation, Tianqin Laozu sent her to the Jingzha Island in the East Sea. At the same time, when Tianqin Laozu was an elder in the boudoir, he had left many spies. These connections were also handed over to Chu Xianting to manage. Just as Lu Ping expected, enlightened Master Xian Yan's cauldron was also a top-grade cauldron. Moreover, it was the Lin Chuan cauldron that forefather Tian Wu used to exchange for the Na Chuan cauldron from Lu Ping. This made Lu Ping curse. According to immortal Xian Yan's alchemy skills, he was not qualified to use a top-grade alchemy furnace. However, now that Tianqin Laozu had let go of everything and Tianqin Laozu was in seclusion, most of the things in the elixir pavilion were managed by immortal Xian Yan. It was normal for him to use this top-grade alchemy furnace. The earth-ranked high-grade spirit-gathering flame ignited, and Lu Ping watched as enlightened Master Xian Yan placed the spirit herbs into the cauldron. He was amused. After so many years, enlightened Master Xian Yan had finally succeeded in concocting the spirit-cleansing pellet. Although the spirit-cleansing pill was an authentic late-core forging realm elixir, this was because the spirit herbs used to refine the spirit-cleansing pill were not 3,000 years old. However, it was undeniable that the difficulty of refining the spirit-cleansing pill was comparable to refining elixirs of the half-step Dharma stage. Therefore, alchemists who could successfully refine the spirit-cleansing pill often had the ability to refine elixirs of the half-step Dharma stage. This was a level higher than immortal Xian Jing, who was only qualified to refine elixirs of the half-step Dharma stage. Even so, compared to immortal Xian Yu, immortal Xian Yan was still a lot inferior. When the firmament cauldron was taken out by immortal Xian Yu, the entire square of the elixir pavilion burst into cheers. Heavenly Cauldron Laozu's Life Treasure Cauldron. Perhaps this was the only chance for most of the cultivators present to see a Dharma treasure furnace. Lu Ping frowned. He didn't expect Fornax Laozu to give the firmament cauldron to Taoist Xian Yu. It seemed like Fornax Laozu had high expectations for Taoist Xian Yu. However, as Reverend Xian Yu smiled apologetically, the puzzled Lu Ping abruptly widened his eyes. A noun from a distant memory rushed into Lu Ping's mind and magnified in his eyes, turning into the word fuck. If the crimson flame burning in Reverend Xuanyue's hand was not the crimson spirit flame that Lu Ping had obtained from Fornax Laozu, what else could it be? The fresh divine sense imprint clearly told Lu Ping that this crimson spirit flame was without a doubt the same crimson spirit flame that Lu Ping gave to the Forsaken Sky Cauldron Grandmaster a few days ago. Taoist Xian Yu seemed to have expected that Lu Ping would be in a bad mood at this time. He hurriedly walked to the square and under the fervent gazes of many cultivators, he started the firmament cauldron and began to refine the pill. Bell Cauldron Pill. The pill that Taoist Xian Yu refined made Lu Ping a little surprised. In this kind of occasion, the alchemy grandmasters would definitely refine the pill that they were extremely confident in. Otherwise, if they failed, it would be too shameful. Taoist Xian Yu refined Fornax Laozu's famous pill on the spot. This clearly showed that he was certain that he would succeed. If this was the case, his alchemy skills were indeed higher than Taoist Xian Yan's. It was no wonder that Fornax Laozu would give him the firmament cauldron. Although the bell cauldron pill was only a half-step core forging pill, it was more difficult to refine than the spirit cleansing pill. Its reputation in the North Sea was like thunder to the ears. It was one of the best healing pills in the entire North Sea's cultivation world. When Taoist Xian Yu's bell cauldron pill entered the cauldron, all the cultivators in the square began to focus their attention on Lu Ping, who was sitting at the head of the table. Originally, about 60% of the cultivators who came to watch the Elixir Conference had come because of Lu Ping, the Water Sword deity, alchemy grandmaster, and defeated Dharma Laozu. They did not understand alchemy at all, and they did not understand the level of the alchemy skills displayed by the alchemy masters present. The number of alchemy masters who had truly seen Lu Ping display his alchemy skills at the grandmaster level was less than 20%. The rest of the cultivators were the so-called dabblers, watching the show while watching the alchemy. However, for the people present, this Elixir Conference was already a worthwhile trip. In addition to the various types of spirit fires of heaven and earth, no one expected that this Elixir Conference would have 2 top-grade alchemy cauldrons and 1 Dharma stage alchemy cauldron. In addition, there were rumors that Taoist Lu Xianping also controlled a magic treasure alchemy cauldron, which meant that this Elixir Conference would have 2 Dharma stage alchemy cauldrons. Just this alone was enough for the cultivators present to boast in front of others in the future. How many magic treasure alchemy cauldrons were there in the entire North Sea? Before Jinling's Heaven Cauldron appeared, the only magic treasure alchemy cauldron known in the entire North Sea was Xianling Sec's Sea Boiling Cauldron. Now, there were 2 magic treasure alchemy cauldrons, and these 2 cauldrons were owned by Jinling. The meaning behind this was that benevolent people see benevolence, and wise people see wisdom. Under such circumstances, Lu Ping naturally would not pass on this responsibility. The bronze-colored Na Chuan cauldron appeared in the center of the square with a trace of roughness and solemnity from ancient times. For a moment, even the heaven cauldron controlled by Taoist Xian Yue was overshadowed by it. A real alchemist could sense the difference between the two. The alchemy cauldron also depended on the foundation. Although both the Na Chuan cauldron and the heaven cauldron had only condensed 1 treasure prohibition, the Na Chuan cauldron undoubtedly had a stronger foundation. The predecessor who refined the Na Chuan cauldron had already left enough room for future improvement for the heaven cauldron, while the heaven cauldron had already reached its end. The appearance of the Na Chuan cauldron finally confirmed a rumor circulating in the North Sea's cultivation world. Jinling really controlled 2 magic treasure alchemy cauldrons. Jinling's foundation was really surpassing Xianling's sect bit by bit. Although there had long been rumors that Xianling's sect had received secret help from the Crystal Palace, and seemed to be working on upgrading the Sea Boiling Cauldron or another top-grade alchemy cauldron to the magic treasure level, this news had never been confirmed. What elixir is Jinren Lu Xianping going to refine? It must be a Dharma-level elixir. Jinren Lu is a master alchemist. What kind of heaven and earth spiritual fire will he use? Maybe a heaven-level one. Both Jinren Xianyue and Jinren Xianyue used earth upper-grade spiritual fire. Jinren Lu is a master, of course he is stronger than them. That might not be the case. After all, Jinren Lu is still young. With more than 100 years of cultivation time, how much foundation can we hope for him to accumulate? A earth upper-grade spiritual fire at most. In the anticipation of the crowd, a silver-white strange flame slowly rose from Lu Ping's palm. The surrounding discussions suddenly quieted down. What kind of flame is this? It's so warm. Why do I feel that it has no power at all? Exactly. Look at the power of the heaven and earth spiritual fire when the masters made their moves. The heat wave of the fire swept over, and the temperature of the entire Elixir Pavilion Square was rising. Not only the surrounding cultivators, but many alchemists also looked at Lu Ping with puzzled eyes. However, these alchemists were not questioning the spiritual fire in Lu Ping's hand like the other cultivators. It was because they did not know this kind of spiritual fire at all. Although the power of the heaven and earth spiritual fire suitable for alchemy was weaker than that suitable for crafting weapons, the word weak was relative. None of the real heaven and earth spiritual fire was weak in the eyes of a real expert. The difference was only in the person using it. Not only these ordinary alchemists, but also among the 8 alchemy grandmasters controlling the flame, Taoist Xian Fang and the other 2 grandmasters from the affiliated forces were also looking at the flame in Lu Ping's hand with puzzled eyes. When the other 3 masters, Taoist Xian Yen, Taoist Xian Jing and Taoist Xian Yu saw the heaven and earth spiritual fire in Lu Ping's hand, their faces simultaneously revealed a shocked expression. Taoist Xian Yu had obtained Lu Ping's red spiritual fire from Fornax Laozu, but Fornax Laozu did not tell him that Lu Ping had obtained the silver spiritual fire. At the same time, Taoist Li Yan also recognized the heaven and earth spiritual fire in Lu Ping's hand. Looking at this person's expression, Lu Ping was a little surprised. It seemed that this person's inheritance was also not bad. His vision and knowledge were not bad, but he did not have the support of a big force behind him. That broken high-grade alchemy furnace was fine, but that profound grade spiritual fire was a little lacking. Taoist Xian Dian was also puzzled at first, but after a moment, he seemed to remember the origin of the flame in Lu Ping's hand. Suddenly, like Taoist Xian Yen and the others, his face was full of amazement. The silver spiritual fire was really an extremely rare spiritual fire among the heaven and earth spiritual fires. Martial nephew Lu, this flame, could it be? Seeing that Taoist Xian Yu was about to ask, the cultivators watching the ceremony all pricked up their ears. The expressions of the several alchemy grandmasters present were all seen by everyone. How could they not know that this seemingly ordinary flame that Taoist Lu Xianping took out must certainly have a great origin? However, Taoist Xian Yu said, could it be for a long time, perhaps because he did not want to reveal the details of Lu Ping. In the end, he did not say the name of the flame, causing many of the cultivators present to secretly curse at him. Lu Ping nodded and said with a smile, Martial Uncle's guess is correct. This is the silver spiritual fire. Although Taoist Xian Yu did not think that Lu Ping would say the name of the spiritual fire, but hearing that it was indeed the strange spiritual fire he had guessed, he could not help but sigh and said, so it is. When the other alchemy grandmasters heard about the silver spiritual fire, their expressions changed. Even Taoist Xian Fang and the others did not recognize it, but they had definitely heard of this famous alchemy flame. Soon, the alchemy grandmasters who had heard of the silver spiritual fire cried out in surprise, and the name of the silver spiritual fire spread to all the cultivators present. Most of the cultivators did not know the specific function of the silver spiritual fire, but just the words, heaven rank middle grade, was enough for many of the cultivators present to praise it for a long time. Lu Ping stretched out his hand and drew a line in front of him. 20 to 30 white jade boxes that were specially used to store spiritual herbs appeared in front of him. Een spirit leaf, 9 crooked ginseng, star anise root, yellow forest bark. Every time Lu Ping took out a 3,000-year-old spiritual herb from a jade box, the alchemy grandmasters present would shout out loudly. However, when Lu Ping took out nearly 33,000-year-old spiritual herbs in a row, including the alchemy grandmasters, no one could guess what Dan Lu Ping was going to refine. Chapter 871. Lu Ping raised his head to look at the sky. There were no clouds in the sky, and a cool breeze was blowing gently. However, because of the heaven and earth spiritual fires in the Pill Pavilion Square, even though the alchemists tried their best to restrain it, the cool breeze turned into a heatwave. Lu Ping looked at enlightened Master Xian Yu, who was controlling the heaven cauldron on the square, and a trace of displeasure flashed across his heart. Although Fornax Cauldron Ancestor had told him about his plan, Lu Ping still had some doubts about the Crimson Spirit Flame being exposed so early. It seemed that advancing to the Dharma manifestation stage was imminent. If Yen Wujiao and Luan Yu's plan succeeded, then the origin of the red spiritual flame could be explained to them. Otherwise, whether it was Lu Ping or Zhenling, they did not want to have such a strong opponent like the Fire Phoenix clan in the East Sea. On the square, hundreds of divine senses and divine senses were intertwined. The pill competition was a rare opportunity for alchemists to show their alchemy skills. The alchemy masters opened their cauldrons one after another so that they could stagger the time of refining the elixirs. It was convenient for the many alchemists present to verify with each other and learn different alchemy skills and experience. Half a day passed quickly, and the alchemy masters on the square had reached the time to open their cauldrons. The first to open the cauldron was not enlightened Xianfang, but Master Li Yenshan. Lu Ping saw it clearly from the side. It was not that he wanted to open the cauldron now, but because his cauldron was too old, the spirit qi and pill qi were leaking. If he did not open the cauldron now, the speed of refining the elixirs would not be able to keep up with the speed of the loss of the elixirs. A mid-core forging elixir was comparable to enlightened Xuanfang's ancient glass elixir. 5 elixirs were produced in one cauldron, so the success rate was not bad. Immediately after, enlightened Xuanfang's ancient glass elixir was also out of the cauldron. Before the 6 ancient glass elixirs flew too far from the cauldron, they were all sucked into a jade bottle by enlightened Xianfang. Because of Grandmaster Li Yenshan, many of the Jinling cultivators present cheered when they saw enlightened Master Xianfang taking out one more pill. Taoist Master Xianfang, on the other hand, felt a little awkward. He knew that if Taoist Master Li Yenshan's pill furnace was not too shabby, his success rate might not have been reduced by 10%. If the spiritual fire in his hand was also upgraded to earth rank, Taoist Master Xianfang was not confident that he could beat him in alchemy. Perfected Li Yenshan, on the other hand, was unperturbed. He merely smiled at perfected Xianfang's apologetic gaze. Lu Ping saw all of this. Immediately after, Taoist Master Xiandian and the 2 external alchemists also opened their cauldrons. Although the 3 of them were much more experienced in alchemy than Taoist Master Xianfang and perfected Li Yenshan, even though they were all in the middle stage of the core forging stage, the quality and success rate of their pills were better than Taoist Master Xianfang and perfected Li Yenshan. However, Lu Ping did not see any spirituality in the 3 of them like Taoist Master Xianfang and perfected Li Yenshan. This meant that the 3 of them had basically no chance of improving their alchemy skills. Taoist Master Xianfang and perfected Li Yenshan's alchemy skills still had a lot of room for improvement. Soon, it was time for Taoist Master Xianjing to open his cauldron. 3 illusionary pills flew out of the cauldron in a row. This made Taoist Master Xianjing very satisfied. If he had used a high-grade cauldron to refine the illusionary pills in the past, he would only be able to produce 2 pills at a time. Although he had used a top-grade cauldron this time, a large part of the reason was that his alchemy skills had improved significantly. The illusionary pills had a 30% success rate. This meant that he could at least ask his master, Tianlu Laozu, to refine elixirs that were half a step into the Dharma stage. However, he was a little worried. This time, it was obviously because he had Tianqin Laozu's top-grade cauldron in his hands. After this, he would have to return the cauldron. Taoist Master Xianjing knew that when Tianling Laozu and Tianlin Laozu had turned against each other, Tianqin Laozu had been unhappy with him. It was only because of their old friendship that he had lent the cauldron to him. If he were to borrow it again in the future, it would not be so easy anymore. Putting away the cauldron and the spirit fire, Taoist Master Jinling waved his hand at the cheering disciples around him. Taoist Master Xianjing looked at Lu Shenping, who was controlling the silver spirit fire to refine elixirs leisurely. What kind of elixir was this guy refining? Taoist Master Xianjing was not the only one who had this question. Almost all the alchemists present had the same question. What kind of elixir was Grandmaster Lu Shenping refining? Taoist Master Xianyan's spirit cleansing pill was finally about to be refined. This kind of high-grade elixir had the same effect on late core forging adepts. In Taoist Master Xianyan's Linchuan cauldron, he had also achieved a 30% success rate. Under normal circumstances, a cauldron of elixirs would only contain 10 elixirs. The common rule of the Jinling sect was to achieve at least a 30% success rate for elixirs to be considered qualified. Therefore, Taoist Master Xianjing's illusionary pills had reached a 30% success rate. He was now qualified to refine elixirs that were half a step into the Dharma stage. Taoist Master Xianyan had also achieved a 30% success rate. This meant that he could finally refine the spirit cleansing pill. Taoist Master Xian Yan did not like Lu Ping either. However, it was just a simple dislike. It was not like Taoist Master Xian Jing, who hated him to the point of scheming against him. However, he also had some doubts about the elixir that Lu Ping had refined. It was not only because of the mysteriousness of the elixir, but also because of the silver spirit flame. It was said that although the silver spirit flame could increase the success rate of elixirs, the amount of inner yuan required to control the spirit flame was double that of a normal spirit flame. The time required to control the spirit flame was also double that of a similar elixir. In this way, using the silver spirit flame to refine a cauldron of elixirs would consume 4 times the amount of inner yuan compared to a normal cultivator. Would this guy be able to withstand it? If there was a situation where he ate elixirs and used spirit stones to replenish his inner yuan, then he would become a laughing stock. Taoist Master Xian Yan's level was higher than Taoist Master Xian Jing's level of schadenfreude. At the very least, he would consider that if Lu Ping really made a fool of himself, he would be touching Jinling's own dark side. Compared to the mystery of Lu Ping's elixir, Taoist Master Xian Yu's Zhongding elixir was much more attention-grabbing. After all, the Zhongding elixir was the elixir that made Tianlu Laozu famous in the past. Although it was only half a step to the Dharma stage, the core forging stage and Dharma stage cultivators who had survived all these years because of the Zhongding elixir were not the only ones in Jinling. There were also many people from other sections. This had given Jinling a lot of favors and reputation. What's more, there was also the Firmament Cauldron, the #1 cauldron of Jinling in name. As for the red spirit flame, although very few of the cultivators present knew about it, Lu Ping had to prepare for the worst. Although he roughly knew about Tianlu Laozu's plan, in reality, he was not optimistic about it. After all, the red spirit flame had a lot of implications. If there was really a misunderstanding with the Fire Phoenix race, he hoped that Yan Wujiu and Luan Yu would have enough weight to help him. Taoist Master Xian Yu was a little surprised that the 4 Zhongding elixirs were out of the cauldron. This meant that he even had the qualifications to start refining the Dharma stage elixir. He was already a genuine alchemy grandmaster. This was not something that a half-step grandmaster could compare with. The latter was usually just a way to elevate others, but Taoist Master Xian Yu was the real alchemy grandmaster. All he lacked was the last Dharma stage elixir. Lu Ping was still refining his elixir leisurely. Until now, the mysterious elixir refined in the Nachuan cauldron did not seem to have any signs of solidifying. What kind of elixir was this? As time slowly passed, the number of Jinling cultivators who came to the square to watch the ceremony did not decrease. Instead, it increased. Now, it seemed that all the Jinling cultivators who stayed behind in Tianling Mountain knew that Taoist Master Lu Xianping was refining a mysterious elixir. Everyone in the square was looking forward to the final mystery being revealed. No one showed a trace of impatience, including cultivators like Taoist Master Xian Jing who had a grudge with Lu Ping. Lu Ping raised his head and looked at the sky. Unknowingly, wisps of clouds had drifted over and covered the sun that was already slanting in the west. As Lu Ping was the only one left in the square, the previously bustling scene seemed a little cold. The breeze brought a hint of coolness. Lu Ping nodded in his heart. It seemed that it was almost time to solidify the elixir. However, it was his first time refining this kind of elixir. He really did not know what the success rate would be. Although it was only an early-stage Dharma realm elixir, even if he did not use the purple crystal royal jelly, he still had a success rate of more than 40%. However, if something went wrong, he would really be overreaching himself this time. It's solidifying. The cultivators in the square who were watching were suddenly shocked. Hundreds of divine thoughts and divine senses surged into the Nachuan cauldron, but they obediently left enough space. They did not dare to interfere with Lu Ping's divine thoughts in controlling the process of solidifying the elixir in the cauldron. Another half an hour passed. According to the normal alchemy process, it was already the final time to open the cauldron. The rich fragrance of the elixir had already filled the entire elixir pavilion square. It's time to open the cauldron. If we don't open it now, it looks like it's going to rain. Many cultivators in the square saw that the sky had gradually darkened. Junling's mountain defense formation would not block out ordinary weather like wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. It can't be, until now, there are still 10 elixirs in the cauldron. A cultivator exclaimed in a low voice. At this time, many cultivators realized that until now, there were still 10 elixirs in the Nachuan cauldron that had gradually solidified, and none of them had been destroyed. Grandmaster Lu Xianping is really amazing. He can even have a 100% success rate of Dharma Realm elixirs. No, this is too strange. Dharma Realm elixirs have a 100% success rate and none of them have been destroyed. Is it possible? Didn't you see that the few masters on the square are frowning? Even they don't believe it. Indeed, although it is an early-stage Dharma Realm elixir, who has ever heard of a 100% success rate? I'm afraid that only alchemists who have achieved the Divine Soul stage can achieve this. Boom! A muffled thunder suddenly sounded in the sky, and the whole world became even darker. At this moment, Lu Ping's slightly squinted eyes suddenly lit up. With the last hand seal, he pushed the cauldron toward the cauldron. The lid of the Nachuan cauldron floated up, and 10 elixirs flew out of the cauldron. 10? It really is 10 elixirs, a 100% success rate? Someone in the square suddenly shouted. However, before the cultivators in the square who were watching the ceremony could be in an uproar because of this exciting moment, the dark clouds in the sky were suddenly torn apart by a green light, followed by a muffled thunder. The green light zigzagged and suddenly hit the 10 elixirs that were escaping in all directions. There was a sudden exclamation in the square. Many cultivators watched as 6 of the 10 elixirs exploded on the spot. Although the remaining 4 were lucky enough to escape, the outer layer of the elixirs was covered with a layer of purple. Chapter 872. Tainted Elixirs, Tainted Elixirs. Many alchemists cried out in alarm, and several alchemy grandmasters on the scene also showed expressions of regret and pity. Only Taoist Xian Jing had a trace of schadenfreude hanging on the corner of his mouth, which also made Taoist Xian Yan a little unhappy. When the alchemy furnace was taken out of the furnace, it was invaded by external evils, causing the essence of the elixir to change and lose its original effect. This was usually called a tainted elixir. The power of the green lightning that fell from the sky was not very strong. An ordinary core forging adept would be able to easily block it. It was just that it happened so suddenly and the lightning was so fast that outsiders could not intervene at all. As the alchemist, Lu Ping was the most likely person to block the lightning. Unfortunately, at that moment, immortal Lu Xianping seemed to hesitate and did not plan to intervene at all. Just when everyone felt that it was a pity, they saw Lu Ping suddenly show a look of joy. Under everyone's puzzled expressions, he took out a jade essence bottle and collected the 4 purple elixirs that were still flying around in the sky. These 4 elixirs were all collected by Lu Ping into the jade essence bottle. Jade essence bottle? The alchemy masters were stunned. Could it be that this elixir had other uses? Just when everyone was looking at each other, Lu Ping was acutely aware of the sudden arrival of a strong divine consciousness. Then, several late core forging adepts present, including Lu Ping, Xian Yan, and Xian Yu, could feel that this familiar divine consciousness came from Tianlu Laozu. Just when everyone was puzzled, another 3 divine consciousnesses came from several important caves on Tianling Mountain. They were Tianling Laozu, Tianqin, and Tianshan Laozu. At this time, even the slowest person could already tell that the 4 elixirs that seemed to have been tainted by Lu Ping were not simple. However, while the crowd was still unaware, Lu Ping's divine will was able to detect that there were actually 2 other faint divine wills observing the situation. It was just that the level of training of these 2 people was too high. Other than Lu Ping's divine will, which was almost comparable to the mid-Dharma stage, no one else was able to detect them. Tianfan Laozu had already left for Jingzhe Island. Lu Ping knew that one of the 2 strands of divine sense belonged to Tianlin Laozu, while the other belonged to Tianxiang Laozu. Reverend Xianyue was astonished when he saw the calm expression on Lu Ping's face. Could it be that the green lightning-tainted pill was purposely caused by Lu Ping? Just as Reverend Xianyue was about to open his mouth to ask, he saw a space door suddenly appear in front of Lu Ping. Tianlu Laozu stepped out and looked around. The whispers in the surroundings immediately disappeared. A few of the most respected alchemy masters were about to step forward to greet him, but they saw Tianxiang Laozu's gaze fixed on Lu Ping. He said, "The purple sun thunder tempering pill?" Lu Ping hesitated for a moment. He knew that the commotion today was too big. Anyone who was observant would most likely be able to guess something after hearing about it. There was no way to hide it. Thus, he nodded and said, "Reporting to Uncle Master, it is indeed." Tianlu Laozu was about to say something, but his expression changed slightly. Lu Ping's divine will could clearly sense that a strand of divine will had suddenly appeared beside Tianlu Laozu. It seemed to be conveying some kind of message. "Give it to me." Tianlu Laozu directly stretched out his hand. Lu Ping knew that today's matter was a bit big, so he obediently handed over the jade essence bottle. Tianlu Laozu took the jade essence bottle and seemed to hesitate for a moment. In the end, he couldn't help but ask, "Where did you get the pill recipe?" Lu Ping chuckled and said, "It was a coincidence." Tianlu Laozu knew that Lu Ping was unwilling to say, so he didn't force him. He just nodded, turned around, and disappeared into the space door. At this time, although the alchemists present still didn't know what kind of spirit pill this purple sun thunder tempering pills was, the two words, tempering thunder, as the name suggested, made it clear that this spirit pill was not a dirty pill. It was intentional by Lu Ping. The lightning that fell from the sky should be a necessary part of this spirit pill's formation. The appearance of Lu Ping's purple sun thunder tempering pill, although there was no cheering from the Jinling disciples, the shock it brought was far more than what the previous masters could compare to. Even if they joined forces, it might not be as shocking as the green lightning that Lu Ping had released when he opened the cauldron. An alchemist grandmaster was indeed an alchemist grandmaster. The pill he refined was so big that even Tianlu Laozu was alarmed. This pill must be extraordinary. This was what ordinary cultivators and alchemists could think of. What kind of spirit pill was this purple sun thunder tempering pill? How come no one had ever mentioned it before? It seemed that Tianlu Laozu must have known about it. Moreover, the spirit pill attracted the attention of the Jinling disciples and Laozu. This pill must be extraordinary. This was the guess of the alchemy masters. Even Tianlin uncle and Tianxiang uncle, who were concentrating on preparing for the first thunder tribulation, were alarmed. It seemed that the pill recipe obtained from Fan Yuqing was real. They didn't expect that the legendary pill among the alchemy masters really existed. But where did Fan Yuqing get it? They didn't know if the Taishan sect also had this kind of pill. Lu Ping secretly pondered. This time he seemed to have been a bit rash. Refining this kind of pill in this kind of situation, although it confirmed his guess, he was afraid that the secret could not be kept. Reverend Xianyue hesitated for a moment, but looking at the hundreds of inquiring eyes around him, he knew that if he didn't ask for guidance, this would not be easy to get through. So he asked Lu Ping loudly, "Nephew Lu, what kind of spirit pill is this purple sun thunder tempering pill? What kind of miraculous effects does it have that Master Tianlu personally came here?" Lu Ping knew a little about Reverend Xianyue and smiled. Reporting, "Master Xianyue, this is an early Dharma spirit pill that I obtained. It has many miraculous effects for early Dharma adepts. It can be considered one of the better early Dharma spirit pills. It's just that the conditions for refining the spirit pill are too strange, and it has been lost in the world of practitioners for a long time. This time, I found this pill recipe by accident. I didn't believe it at first, but I wanted to verify it at the alchemy exhibition. Who would have thought that it would cause such a big commotion? Tianlu Laozu must be excited to see it. After all, this spirit pill has been lost for thousands of years." Reverend Xianyue had a look of realization on his face, but in his heart, he was still doubtful. If it really was a lost spirit pill, then it would make sense for Tianlu and Tianqin, the two of them, to come here. But how could it have attracted Tianling and Tianshan? This did not make sense, as these two were not alchemists. It seemed like the problem was with the green lightning. The question was, could it be that the green lightning had started to gather when Lu Ping opened the alchemy furnace, all for the moment when the spirit pill came out of the furnace? Reverend Xianyue raised his head to look at the sky. The dark clouds were still gathering, and a drizzle had already started to fall. Not only Reverend Xianyue, but the other alchemists were also doubtful of what Lu Ping had said, but they did not dare to ask further. Reverend Xianyuan saw everything clearly from the side, so he quickly said, "Good, the alchemy exhibition is over. All alchemists must go back and carefully comprehend it. I hope this alchemy exhibition will be of some help to everyone's alchemy skills. Tomorrow, the Pill Pavilion's examination will officially begin. Everyone, go back and prepare yourselves." After everyone left, Lu Ping went straight to Tianlu Laozu's cave mansion. As soon as he entered the cave mansion, he saw Tian Xiang, Tianlu, Tian Ling, Tian Lin, Tian Shan, and Tian Qin. The 6 alchemists who stayed behind to guard Tian Ling Mountain were all present. Only Tianjiang Laozu was still in the artifact refining hall, and Tianshu Laozu was also absent. Lu Ping chuckled and quickly stepped forward, bowed and said, "Disciple greets everyone, Laozu greets teacher. Glib tongue, stand properly." Tian Ling Laozu shouted. Lu Ping couldn't help but straighten his face, and bowed with his head lowered. "Let me ask you, where did this purple sun lightning tempering pill come from?" Tian Ling Laozu saw that Lu Ping was obedient, so he restrained his sternness, but still asked in a deep voice. Lu Ping replied, reporting to teacher, "I got it from the Supreme Profound Sect's direct disciple, Fan Yuqing. I have already reported this matter to teacher and Uncle Master Tian Xiang." The other alchemists all looked at Tian Xiang Laozu, who was sitting in the seat of honor. Tian Xiang Laozu nodded slightly. Tianlu Laozu opened his mouth and asked, "I believe you also know the function of this purple sun lightning tempering pill, right?" Lu Ping smiled and said, "I know, but I don't believe it." "So you wanted to verify it at the alchemy assembly? How can you not think about it? If you fail, you will lose face. If you succeed, you will cause such a huge commotion, and the secret of its purple sun lightning tempering pills will not be kept." Tianlu Laozu was extremely displeased. This reprimand could already be considered severe. The second-generation disciples of Tian Ling, Tian Shan, Tian Qin and the others did not say anything else. Lu Ping smiled and said, "Disciple has carefully studied the pill formula and found that there are no loopholes in the entire pill formula. Just from this point alone, Disciple is still confident." Lu Ping's words were extremely confident. Tianlu and Tianqin Laozu would not doubt him. After all, they were all great alchemists. Especially since Lu Ping could actually produce this purple sun lightning tempering pill, his alchemy skills were probably not below those of the two of them. If he could not even distinguish the authenticity of a pill formula, then it would be too much of a joke. The only thing this disciple doesn't understand is the final lightning tempering segment. It's a bit too exaggerated, so this disciple wants to give it a try. "Even if I fail, at least I can guarantee that the pill will be formed, and others won't be able to tell anything. The only thing I didn't expect was that this pill formula was so strange that it actually attracted a bolt of green lightning." At this point, even Lu Ping smiled bitterly. It was not just a green bolt of lightning. This green bolt of lightning obviously contained the aura of a lightning tribulation. Although this aura was so weak that it was almost negligible, any news of a lightning tribulation would be sensitive enough to attract the attention of any Dharma adept. This was also why the moment the purple sun lightning tempering pill was formed, almost all the Dharma adepts on Tianling Mountain sent their will down. Even Tian Lin Laozu and Tian Qin Laozu, who were in seclusion, were no exception. Chapter 873. Tianlu Laozu's face was still pale. Tian Ling Laozu said, "Master, although this purple sun thunder tempering pill is said to be helpful for cultivators to pass through the thunder tribulations, in reality, even if it is helpful, it is only a drop in the bucket. It is very limited. It is only because this pill is the only one that can help in passing through the thunder tribulations in the world of alchemy. That's why it is so famous. This pill is really exaggerated." Tianlu Laozu snorted coldly and said, "How could the old man not know that this pill is exaggerated? Are you talking about what the old man told you in the past?" Tian Qin Laozu was embarrassed by Tianlu Laozu's words and stopped talking. Tianlu Laozu looked at Lu Ping and said, "No matter how weak this pill is, it is still helpful for cultivators to pass through the thunder tribulations. This is something that no one can deny. Do you know that this alone is enough to attract the greed of many Dharma adepts? Tian Xiang Laozu suddenly asked, "What are your plans after the Elixir Pavilion's examination?" Lu Ping thought for a while and said, "I will go to Frost Island and then find a place to go into seclusion." Tian Xiang Laozu nodded and said, "That's good. You go and hide for a while. The matter of the purple sun thunder tempering pill can be big or small. It depends on the situation." Tianlu Laozu threw the jade essence bottle to Jiang Tianlin Laozu and said, "Take it. Although this thing is exaggerated, it will help you pass through the thunder tribulations." Tianlin Laozu took the jade essence bottle and smiled. "Thank you, Uncle Master, but I am quite confident that I will pass through the thunder tribulations this time. Leave this pill with Uncle Master." Although everyone was shocked, they also thought that it was reasonable. Ancestor Tianlin had obtained a Dharma power soul in the Yingtian dojo, so it should not be a problem for him to pass through the thunder calamity. Moreover, even Feng Shutao, who had refined the Dharma power soul in one gulp, could advance to the mid-Dharma stage, let alone someone like Ancestor Jiang Tianlin who had refined it meticulously without any side effects. All right. Fornax Cauldron Ancestor took the jade essence bottle and was about to put it away when Lu Ping saw the spirit pellet. He spent dozens of precious 3,000-year-old spirit herbs to concoct being taken away by Fornax Cauldron Ancestor. He panicked and said, Grand Marshal Uncle, can you return the spirit pellet to me?" Tianlu Laozu glanced at the indifferent Tianling Laozu and said, "Why? Do you have a use for it? You haven't even formed a Dharma power. What do you need it for?" Lu Ping was so anxious that he did not choose his words carefully. "This is a pill that I refined. 40 to 50 types of 3,000-year-old spirit herbs, and a total of nearly 200 of them. It must have cost a lot." "Uncle Master, you can't just take it away without saying a word. How dare you?" The heavenly spirit ancestor shouted. "How can Uncle Master Tianlu take advantage of a junior like you?" With Tianling Laozu's words, Lu Ping immediately gave up. The sky zither ancestor giggled heartlessly to the side. Tianlu Laozu pointed at Tianling Laozu, and then at Lu Ping. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. "You two echo each other. Are you doing this on purpose for the old man to see? Although the purple sun thunder tempering pill is rare, it is at most an early Dharma pill. It can take 203,000-year-old spirit herbs, and at most 100. At this time, Celestial Phenomenon Laozu suddenly said, "Tell me, what do you want?" Tianling Laozu was the one to give up now. She closed her eyes and did not care. Lu Ping asked Tianlu Laozu, "Uncle Master, why don't you return the crimson spiritual flame to me?" Tianlu Laozu glanced at Celestial Phenomenon Laozu and said, "Don't even think about it. The crimson spiritual flame has already appeared in front of everyone. It's impossible to take it back. Besides, you want to exchange 4 purple sun thunder tempering pills for 1 crimson spiritual flame? If it's a lower earth level spirit item, even a mid-level one is not out of consideration." Lu Ping realized that Celestial Phenomenon Laozu was involved in the matter of the crimson spiritual flame and immediately extinguished the thought of taking it back. But when he heard that Tianlu Laozu was only going to give him a lower earth level spirit item, he laughed and said, "Uncle Master, based on the value of a furnace of purple sun thunder tempering pills, a lower earth level spirit item is acceptable. But this purple sun pill can still withstand the lightning punishment. This is a huge gimmick. You also said that if the news of this pill is leaked, who knows how many Laozu will come looking for you. If that's the case, even a mid-earth level spirit item will seem a little shabby." Lu Ping paused for a moment. Seeing that the few Laozus had a wooden expression on their faces, he decided to add fuel to the fire and said, "What's more, I already have more than 10 earth level spirit items in my hands. Why would I want an extra one?" This sentence was indeed effective. Not only Tianlu Laozu and the others, but even the calmest Celestial Phenomenon Laozu and Tianlin Laozu looked at Lu Ping with shining eyes. On the contrary, Tianling Laozu opened his eyes and looked even calmer. A dozen earth-level spirit items. This was not a small matter. At least in Jinling it would be enough to create 8 or 9 late core forging disciples with hopes of breaking through to the 7th grade golden core. Even if 4 or 5 of them could break through to the Dharma plane, it would be an incredible event. Tianqin Laozu looked at Lu Ping in surprise and said, "You really have more than 10 Earth-level spirit items? How did you get them? Did you destroy a small sect?" Lu Ping laughed involuntarily and told the few Laozus about the underground trade fair in Tianjin ancient city. This matter was actually known to the Junling's Laozus. At that time, the Yingshan Immortal School had already notified them. However, firstly, it was a long distance away, and secondly, it did not attract the attention of the Laozus of the sect. Therefore, although the Yingshan Immortal School had some gains from the trade fair, compared to the dozen Earth-level spirit items that Lu Ping had exchanged for, it was far from enough. Tianshan Laozu knew that his question was a little presumptuous, but he could not help but ask, "Where did you get so many treasures to be able to exchange for so many spirit items?" He naturally knew that Lu Ping would not answer this question, but he still asked it in the end. In fact, it was not only Tianshan Laozu who wanted to know the answer. Who here did not want to know the answer? At this time, without waiting for Lu Ping to ponder over how to answer, Tianshan Laozu suddenly opened his eyes and asked, "What do you plan to do with so many spirit items?" Lu Ping knew that this was his teacher helping him out of this predicament. As expected, the moment this question was asked, all the Laozu's attention was drawn to it. This was what they were most concerned about. Lu Ping smiled and said, "This disciple has not thought about it yet. In general, I plan to exchange for a few things. However, as for what exactly I want to exchange for, I will have to wait and see. When the time comes, I will have to ask the sect master to come out and gather the sect's disciples." After pausing for a moment, Lu Ping hurriedly said, "Ancestor Tianlu, this disciple only wants to exchange for the spirit herbs used to refine the purple yang pill, about 100 stalks." Tianlu Laozu impatiently waved his hand and said, "Scram. Go pick from the pill pavilion's treasury. Remember, 100 stalks, no more." Lu Ping hurriedly left Tianlu Laozu's cave as if he was escaping. Tunlin Laozu smiled and said, "The lightning tribulation is imminent. This disciple will take his leave first." After Tianlin Laozu left, Tianqin, Tianshun, Tianling and the others also left. Tianlu Laozu was a little worried and said, "Senior brother, is Tianling too indulgent with this kid?" Tianxiang Laozu looked at Tianlu Laozu strangely and said, "Indulgent? Back then, who could compare to you indulging Tianqin? Who wouldn't protect such a disciple? Today, even if you had designs on his earth-rank spirit item, Tianling couldn't say anything and Tianlin would still come out to stop you. Now that this kid is using a spirit item to open the eyes of Tianling, Tianling's authority will definitely rise to another level. Just this point alone is enough to make the old man happy." Tianlu Laozu chuckled and said no more. Tianxiang Laozu had already disappeared from the cave. Lu Ping picked 100 stalks of 3,000-year-old spirit herbs from the pill pavilion. He ignored Taoist Xian Yan who was guarding the treasury and hurriedly returned to the cave that he had opened up on Heaven's Spirit Mountain but had only stayed in a few times. As soon as he settled down, Lu Ping was stunned and hurriedly stood up. He saw a spatial door open at the entrance of the cave and Tianlin Laozu was already walking in. "Senior uncle?" Lu Ping was about to bow with a puzzled expression when he saw Tianlin Laozu wave his hand and said, "No need for formalities. After the pill pavilion head's test, the old man will be going through his first lightning tribulation. You should make some preparations first." Lu Ping blinked and said, "So soon?" Tianlin Laozu smiled and said, "If it's possible, the old man can attract the lightning tribulation now. I'm just doing my best to be safe. Since you're planning to go into seclusion to train, the old man doesn't know when you'll come out, so you might as well go through the lightning tribulation first." Lu Ping smiled and said, "Looks like senior uncle has a card up his sleeve." Tianlin Laozu said, "Because of the Dharma power soul, I have more or less a chance of passing the first lightning tribulation. If I can add in your Thunder 7 Treasures calabash, then there's an 80 to 90% chance of success. I just didn't expect you to have a treasure like the Thunder 7 Treasures calabash." Lu Ping seemed to have remembered something at this moment. He took out a treasure that looked like a tree root from his magical storage device and said, "Senior uncle is about to advance to the mid-Dharma stage. This treasure can be considered a congratulatory gift from your disciple to senior uncle in advance. When Tianlin Laozu saw this item, his initially calm expression disappeared in an instant. He was moved and said, "This is a companion spiritual treasure? You killed the blood Shura yourself?" Lu Ping chuckled and said, "I don't have that kind of ability." As he said this, he briefly told Tianlin Laozu about his situation in the Yingyu swamp. This tree root-like companion spiritual treasure was left behind by a wood elemental blood Shura, and it was very suitable for Tianlin Laozu's level of practice. Once it became a suitable spiritual treasure, Tianlin Laozu would be like a tiger that had grown wings. After the incident at Yingtian Temple, Tianlin Laozu had the intention of giving the Linglong wine cauldron to Lu Ping, and Lu Ping was returning the favor. After hearing this, Tianlin Laozu sighed and said, "The richness of treasures in the Central Plains is far beyond that of the North Sea. The old man had originally planned to bring one of our sect's powerful spirit-nurturing treasures to go through the lightning tribulation with him, to see if he could add another spiritual treasure to the sect. But with this blood Shura's companion spiritual treasure, as long as it is slightly improved, it will only be a formality for the old man to go through the lightning tribulation with him. There's basically no need to worry about it being destroyed." Chapter 874. Tianlin Laozu turned around and was about to leave when he thought of something. "You seem to be looking for a spirit-nurturing artifact recently?" Lu Ping was overjoyed. "That's right. I have a few artifacts that I want to upgrade to spirit-nurturing artifact, but they are stuck on the artifact restrictions." Tianlin Laozu took out a few jade slips and said, "Take a look. These are some of the special artifacts that the old man has accumulated over the years. They are all spirit-nurturing artifacts. See if there are any that you can use." Lu Ping took out the jade slips and looked through them one by one. He really did find a spirit-nurturing artifact that he could use now. After sending Tianlin Laozu off, Lu Ping began to carefully look through the dense runes recorded on the artifact restriction. This was a treasure restriction suitable for water attribute magic treasures. This type of treasure restriction was not very precious, but very few people would refine this type of magic treasure for water attribute magic treasures. Coincidentally, after Lu Ping's landslide condensed 6 spirit-nurturing artifacts, it was withdrawn from Lu Ping's list of artifacts because it didn't have a suitable spirit-nurturing artifact restriction. But this time, with this artifact restriction, it could be upgraded to a spirit-nurturing artifact. However, the artifact's quality was a little low. It had a water attribute and a metal attribute. But Chen Lian would have to worry about this himself. The refining hall should have quite a few rare spiritual materials. As long as he could upgrade Landslide to a spirit-nurturing artifact, Zhenling would have another Grandmaster refiner. The next day, the Pill Pavilion's examination continued. Hundreds of disciples started a fire in the Pill Pavilion's plaza. Hundreds of fire seeds were ignited at the same time. Although each flame couldn't compare to the heaven and earth spirit fire that the masters displayed yesterday, the combined power was enough to rival the examiners. At first, Lu Ping was curious. But as time passed, he began to feel annoyed. These were just mid-blood condensation medicinal pellets. In the eyes of an alchemist grandmaster like Lu Ping, even if the cultivators here had all kinds of tricks up their sleeves, could they really make a flower out of these medicinal pellets? Lu Ping looked at the grandmaster alchemists sitting upright on the platforms on his left and right. He stood up and, under the surprised gazes of the onlookers, slowly walked towards the alchemy plaza. This made Lu Ping feel like an invigilator again. He was just like those invigilators in his past life who had to walk back and forth in the examination hall in order not to fall asleep. Not only did he abide by his professional ethics, but he also intimidated the students. However, Lu Ping's unexpected action this time not only shocked the alchemist's professionalism, but it also shocked the alchemist in the midst of refining the pellets. Moreover, it was obvious that he had gone overboard. Even Lu Ping himself didn't know that his identity as a Grandmaster refiner would be so shocking. Just as Lu Ping casually walked past these alchemists, the flames in their hands began to flicker. The spectating cultivators felt their hearts rising and falling along with it. Just as Lu Ping walked up to two alchemists who had already started to control the flames in one of their hands flickered and extinguished. Perhaps it was because they were too excited, afraid, or for some other reason, the flames in one of their hands flickered and extinguished, while the flames in the other's hands surged and engulfed the entire pill furnace. Immediately after that, there were two pu sounds. The smell of half-cooked medicinal dregs came from the first pill furnace, while the smell of burnt flesh came from the second. Of the two, one raised his head and looked at Lu Ping pitifully, while the other was curled up and trembling. It was as if she was a female alchemist who had suffered a great injustice. Lu Ping raised his head and looked at the few grandmasters, only to see that they were also shocked and at a loss. Obviously, no one had expected such a thing to happen. In the past pill pavilion examinations, there had never been an examiner patrolling the plaza. That was because the examiner's divine sense was enough to know the situation of every alchemist participating in the examination. There was no need for them to go down to the plaza to check. As the main examiner, Lu Ping was enjoying his role. He squinted at the two and said, although an alchemist cannot be disturbed during the process of concocting pellets, it doesn't mean that the process will fail. If an alchemist doesn't even have the slightest bit of resistance, then the alchemist is too weak. Lu Ping paused and looked at the two alchemists who seemed to have resigned themselves to their bad luck. He continued, this time, it's my fault for suddenly patrolling the plaza. Since it's your first time, I'll give you one more chance. If these alchemists extinguish their flames because of my patrolling again, they will be kicked out of the venue. Lu Ping's voice wasn't loud, but it was clearly heard by every alchemist who was refining pills. The flames controlled by the alchemists flickered again. Outside the plaza, there were already cultivators from the pill pavilion who came up to the two alchemists and handed them 2 mid-blood condensation pills for them to refine. After the first day of the exam, basically every pill refiner who participated in the exam had successfully refined a pill. There was no failure of an empty furnace. This was extremely rare in the history of Zhenling Sect's pill pavilion exams. However, because of Lu Ping's sudden patrolling in the plaza, the success rate of the alchemists who participated in the exam was much lower. Many alchemists complained that if Grandmaster Lu Xianping didn't suddenly go down to patrol the plaza, their success rate could have increased by 10 to 20%. However, no one dared to complain to the pill pavilion. It wasn't just because of enlightened Master Lu Xuanping's identity as a Grandmaster alchemist. It was also because of what Grandmaster Lu said at the exam. If the alchemists could really be affected just because someone was walking beside them, then it would be too shameful. Even though everyone had successfully refined the pill, according to the rules of the pill pavilion's examination, those who had a success rate of 30% or less would be eliminated. In just this one round, 2/5 of the 100 or so alchemists had been eliminated, leaving less than 70 people. Among them, about 40 were disciples of the pill pavilion. However, these eliminated cultivators could still redeem a late blood condensation realm pill and continue to participate in the exam the next day. The only difference was that they wouldn't be included in the exam. The exam continued on the second day. This time, they were going to refine late blood condensation realm pills. Lu Ping continued to patrol the plaza. Not only Lu Ping, but the other alchemy masters also went down to patrol the plaza. They discovered that they could observe the situation of the alchemists around them more directly. In fact, enlightened Master Xian Jing had tried to question Lu Ping about the drop in success rate because of Lu Ping's patrol the day before. However, Lu Ping refuted him with a few words. The other alchemy masters didn't have any objections either. However, Lu Ping knew that enlightened Master Xian Jing wasn't willing to let the matter rest. After that, he sneaked into Fornax Laozu's cave dwelling. However, he came out with his tail between his legs and didn't say anything after that. Lu Ping guessed that enlightened Master Xian Jing must have been scolded badly by Fornax Laozu. This time, the alchemists were prepared. Even though there were still some alchemists who couldn't control their flames properly when the examiners patrolled the plaza, the situation was much better than the day before. However, this time, the scene of the examiners inspecting the scene was beyond the expectations of these alchemists. In the end, There was still one alchemist who lost control of his flames due to the pressure of having 3 examiners observing him. The elixir in the cauldron turned into a pile of useless dregs. Lu Ping disqualified this alchemist on the spot. The spectators from the Jinling Pill Pavilion and the foreign cultivators couldn't help but sigh. Today's results were out. In the end, there were less than 50 people who managed to form pills. Those who had a success rate of 20% or less were eliminated, leaving 33 people. Among them, there were 22 disciples from the Jinling Pill Pavilion. This time, the level of alchemy skills was gradually revealed. Most of the cultivators who passed could only maintain a success rate of 30% to 40%. Only 9 people could achieve a success rate of 50%. Among these 9 people, there were 3 who achieved a success rate of 60%, and none of the 3 who could maintain a success rate of 70%. That was because among the 3 people, 2 of them only had a success rate of 60%, and only one of them had a success rate of 80%. He outshone others and was far ahead. Just as everyone was talking about Tianyu, the few alchemy grandmasters on the plaza were also carefully selecting a few seedlings with good alchemy skills. Those who had not yet entered the sect would naturally be the first to be selected. Even if they were not disciples of the Pill Pavilion, they would still fight for them to see if they could be recruited into the Jinling Pill Pavilion and become an inner disciple. However, among the 9 people who had emerged so far, only 3 were from the Jinling Pill Pavilion's subsidiary forces. The other 6, with the exception of Tianyu, already had their own masters. As for Tianyu, none of the alchemy grandmasters present were talking about him. When Grandmaster Li Yenshan heard that Tianyu had not become an apprentice yet, he even asked Grandmaster Xian Fang curiously why such a talented alchemy genius had not been accepted as a disciple by any of the grandmasters in Jinling. Taoist Xian Fang pointed to Lu Ping, who was sitting at the head of the plaza. Grandmaster Li Yenshan suddenly understood. So Tianyu had already been reserved for him. No wonder no one dared to compete with him. On the 3rd day of the examination, there were only these 33 people on the plaza. This time, they were required to refine a half-step core forging pill. Although a half-step core forging pill could not be considered as a core forging pill, it was still an important threshold for alchemists. 70 to 80% of alchemists would be stopped by this threshold from becoming a grandmaster alchemist. Although there was still one last chance to freely choose a pill, the 3rd round had already become the last day for the 33 alchemists to decide the outcome of the examination. When Lu Ping announced the start of the examination, all 33 cultivators took out their mid-grade pill furnaces. This caused Lu Ping to be somewhat surprised. Lu Ping clearly remembered that many of them had been holding low-grade pill furnaces. Could it be that they had been pretending to be pigs to eat tigers? After asking Taoist Xianyu beside him, he found out that these 33 cultivators could be said to be the people that the Pill Pavilion would focus on cultivating for the next few decades. In addition to the Pill Pavilion renting them mid-grade pill furnaces, their friends and cultivators who had previously been eliminated would also lend their mid-grade pill furnaces to them. Many of the Jinling Pill Pavilion's subsidiary forces would even specially rush over at this time to lend their mid-grade pill furnaces to the participating cultivators for free. This was for the sake of building a good relationship with the Jinling Pill Pavilion in the event that one of them had extraordinary achievements in the future. Chapter 875. Lu Ping even suspected that if it wasn't for the strict rule that high-grade pill furnaces weren't allowed in the Pill Pavilion's examination, it wouldn't be surprising if someone took out a high-grade pill furnace at the start of the 3rd examination. Naturally, these pill refiners wouldn't have high-grade pill furnaces. However, their teachers and the forces they represented might be able to take out a high-grade pill furnace. Although Jinling only wanted to reward the top 10 pill refiners, the top 20 would be qualified to listen to the lectures of the various pill refinement masters in the Pill Pavilion. They might even have the opportunity to receive pointers from grandmasters like Tianlu Laozu and Tianqin Laozu. This was specially prepared by Jinling for the outstanding pill refinement masters who participated in the examination. The duration of the examination was about 1 year. Regardless of whether they were disciples of Jinling or cultivators from the subordinate forces, The top 20 in the Pill Pavilion's examination would qualify. When these people raised the flames they controlled, the spectating cultivators in the plaza cried out in surprise again. Originally, most of these 32 people were only using some ordinary beast flames, spiritual energy flames, and fire seeds that were a level higher than ordinary flames. Now, when these 32 people lit up their flames, the weakest of the 32 flames was the beast fire of a mid or late blood condensation realm demonic beast. Some of the flames even came from core forging realm demonic beasts. These flames were of a higher grade than some of the special flames of heaven and earth. The few core forging realm pill refiners didn't have such a beast fire, but the blood condensation realm pill refiners also had this kind of beast fire. It was obvious that they didn't own it. Other than that, there were a few special flames of heaven and earth. Tianyu had been using a special flame in the previous examination. It was given to him by Hu Lili a long time ago. Hu Lili had told Lu Ping about this beforehand. It was something she obtained from a cultivator who had returned from an expedition in the outer endless sea. Although this special flame was good for concocting pills, Lu Ping naturally didn't need it. Hu Lili also knew that Lu Ping valued Tianyu, so she gave it to Tianyu. Lu Ping didn't mind seeing Tianyu continue to use this kind of flame, but perfected Master Xianfang, who was talking to Master Li Yenshan, couldn't help but frown slightly. However, he didn't say anything. In addition, the appearance of 3 profound-class heaven and earth spirit fires set off a climax in the Pill Pavilion's major exam. Although these flames were all at the low to mid-grade of profound class, heaven and earth spirit fires were the most suitable flames for alchemy. Even if they were more suitable for refining tools, the effect of alchemy was still better than most heaven and earth spirit fires. Moreover, these 3 mystic-grade spirit fires were in the hands of the 3 pill refinement masters who maintained a success rate of more than 50% in the late blood condensation realm. Many cultivators were filled with anticipation. Many of them believed that the outcome of the exam would be decided today. Tianyu looked at the 3 heaven and earth spiritual fires and was slightly surprised. Then, a trace of regret appeared on his face. The difficulty of the half-step core forging realm pills varied greatly due to the number of 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs used and the higher requirements of the pill refinement masters. Even though there were slight differences between the late blood condensation realm pills, the difference was not big enough to affect the fairness of the competition. Even if some cultivators drew pills with different difficulties, they could only complain about their bad luck. The previous method of Junling was to choose as many half-step core forging realm pill recipes as possible. Then, the pill refinement masters would draw randomly. Finally, the pill refinement success rate would be used to determine the level of their pill refinement skills. However, Lu Ping was quite dissatisfied with this method. After that, he personally went to Tianlu Laozu and took out the 7-step marked pill recipe he obtained from the EC. Tianlu Laozu immediately approved of his suggestion. This time, all the pill refinement masters would refine the 7-step marked pill at the same time. After the examiners saw the 7-step marked pill recipe, they all agreed with Lu Ping's proposal. Because of this, Lu Ping extorted a batch of 3,000-year-old spiritual herbs from Tianlu Laozu. Taoist Xian Yan, who was in charge of the Pill Pavilion's spiritual herb treasury, had a dark expression on his face. However, Lu Ping's 7-step marked pill was indeed unique. Taking out this pill recipe could be said to benefit many pill refinement masters. It was only natural for him to obtain a batch of spiritual herbs from the sect to make up for it. Strictly speaking, the 7-step marked pill also had the meaning of 7 lines. When the pill was formed, 7 lines would appear on the surface of the spirit pill. Unless one purposely chased after the perfect 7-veined patterns, it was extremely rare for one to fail. Even if one couldn't concoct a pill with 5 or 6 vein patterns, it wasn't difficult to concoct a pill with 3 or 4 vein patterns. However, a pill with 3 or 4 vein patterns was only comparable to a late blood condensation realm pill. This proved that this cultivator wasn't qualified to concoct a half-step core forging realm pill. In fact, a 7-step marked pill could only be considered a half-step core forging realm spirit pill if it had more than 4 lines. It would also play a role in helping cultivators advance to the core forging realm. Once a 7-step marked pill was refined, one would only be one step away from a true core forging realm spirit pill. In the past, when Lu Ping and Chu Xianting competed to refine a 7-step marked pill, Chu Xianting originally thought that if Lu Ping could refine a 5 or 6-line spirit pill, it would be good enough. However, she didn't expect Lu Ping to also refine a 7-step marked pill. This caused Chu Xianting to dispel her contempt. In fact, at that time, Lu Ping didn't even show his true alchemy skills. He didn't refine a 7-step marked pill at all. Lu Ping asked all 33 alchemists to refine a 7-step marked pill. Based on the lines on the pills, one could easily determine the level of the alchemist's alchemy skills. Even if the same lines appeared, the alchemist's success rate would determine the level of the alchemist's alchemy skills. At the same time, Lu Ping passed down the medicinal pellet recipe, which was extremely precious to blood condensation realm cultivators. It was also a reward for the 33 alchemists for passing the third round of the exam. As one of the best medicinal pellets in the cultivation world that could help a cultivator advance to the core forging realm, the 33 alchemists were very grateful to Lu Ping's medicinal pellet recipe. The only unfortunate thing was that the appearance of the 7-step marked pill seemed to make the 4th day's alchemist self-selection spirit pill irrelevant. However, in this exam, there were a few alchemists who announced that they wanted to break through to the alchemy grandmaster level. Because of this, there were a lot of variables. The difficulty of refining the 7-step marked pill increased the time it took for the pills to come out of the furnace. By the time the pills reached the core condensation stage, the alchemy grandmasters could basically distinguish the alchemist's alchemy skills. The first to open the furnace were 17 alchemists. Although these 17 alchemists had different success rates, they only managed to refine 2 or 3 lines. Obviously, they didn't have the qualifications to refine a half-step core forging realm pill. It was a great pity. Next were the 8 alchemists who refined the 7-step marked pill with 4 lines. Although the quality of their pills was the same, according to the different success rates, these 7 alchemists could still be ranked. In fact, it was just to separate the 9th and 10th alchemists. As for the others, there was no need to separate them. In any case, the top 20 alchemists had the qualifications to enter the pill pavilion and learn from the alchemy grandmasters. The remaining 8 alchemists were the 9 alchemists who had the highest success rate yesterday. 4 of them refined the 7-step marked pill with 5 lines. Among the remaining 4, 3 were alchemists who used heaven and earth spirit fires. The only one who didn't use a spirit fire was Tianyu. After a while, an alchemist who used a middle-grade and low-grade mystic-ranked spirit fire also opened his furnace. One of them refined 4 7-step marked pills with 6 lines, while the other refined 3. This kind of alchemy skill and success rate were already considered very good among the quasi-grandmasters. Although Lu Ping didn't know these 2 alchemists, he saw that they had asked Taoist Xian Yu and Taoist Xian Dian for guidance after the exam 2 days ago. He guessed that they should be their disciples. They were also one of the few early 3rd-generation core forging disciples in this exam. At this time, one of the 2 alchemists was Tianyu, and the other surprised Lu Ping. It was actually the little female cultivator who had almost burned her furnace in fright when he left the field to patrol on the first day of the exam. After a while, the 2 opened their furnaces one after another. 7-step marked pills with 7 lines flew out of the furnace. Tianyu only refined 2 pills, but the little female cultivator refined 3 pills. At this moment, all the cultivators watching the exam were in an uproar. Because Lu Ping suggested using the 7-step marked pill for the 3rd exam, the entire refining process and the result could be seen at a glance. Even a layman who didn't understand alchemy could see that Pill Pavilion's Tianyu, who everyone had placed their hopes on, had actually lost to an unknown little female cultivator. For a moment, all the cultivators present, including Lu Ping, became interested in this little female cultivator. Unfortunately, they discovered that they knew nothing about her identity. Only then did they realize that she wasn't an alchemist from Pill Pavilion, but someone from Zhenling's subsidiary faction. Brother Yenshan, it's true that a famous master produces a brilliant disciple. Your disciple really shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. Even our Pill Pavilion's alchemists are inferior to your disciple. Taoist Xian Fang chuckled as he congratulated Grandmaster Li Yenshan. Taoist Xian Fang and Grandmaster Li Yenshan were similar in age, cultivation, and alchemy. Moreover, they sat together on the stage and interacted frequently. Taoist Xian Fang already knew that this little female cultivator was Grandmaster Li Yenshan's brilliant disciple. Only now did people realize that this shy little girl was actually the disciple of the North Sea's famous alchemy grandmaster. What was rare was that she also had such outstanding talent in alchemy. You're too kind. My disciple only relied on the profound great spirit fire in her hand. If not for that, how could she have defeated martial nephew Tianyu? On the third day of the exam, there seemed to be some unexpected developments, and the cultivators who were watching the exam had a lot to talk about. This female cultivator named Pei Yenner also made the eyes of the entire Pill Pavilion's exam light up. However, because a few alchemists were determined to break through to the core forging stage on the last day of the exam, there was a trace of suspense in this exam. Chapter 876. On the fourth day, Grandmaster Lu Xianping waved his brush, and all the alchemists with less than 4 lines were disqualified. Even the 2 alchemists ranked 9th and 10th were disqualified. In Grandmaster Lu Xuanping's words, cultivators who had just reached the level of half-step core forging shouldn't waste any more spiritual herbs. Only the last 8 cultivators participated in the final assessment. The competition was mainly focused on the top 4 alchemists. This was because the last 4 alchemists still chose half-step core forging pills. 2 of them even planned to refine 7-step mark pills. The top 4 alchemists decided to break through to the core forging stage on the last day to fight for the qualification to become an alchemy grandmaster. Taoist Xian Dian's disciple planned to refine the azure wood pill. It was the simplest type of core forging pill. Similar to it were the blue water pill, white gold pill, scarlet fire pill, yellow earth pill, cold ice pill, and clear wind pill. These 7 types of pills were the first choice for alchemists to advance to the grandmaster rank. Taoist Xian Yu's disciple chose the scarlet fire pill. Lu Ping could see clearly from the side. The former chose the azure wood pill because he cultivated a wood attribute cultivation method. The latter chose the scarlet fire pill because he had a fire attribute cultivation method. The little female cultivator, Pei Yen, chose the cold ice pellet. Although it was a surprise to Lu Ping, when he saw a small porcelain bottle of cold ice water among the spirit herbs she chose, he immediately understood the reason. This spirit ice water had the effect of increasing the success rate of refining ice attribute spirit pills for core forging realm cultivators. Although it couldn't compare to the amethyst honey, it was still rare. With this item in hand, this little female cultivator naturally chose to refine the cold ice pill. At this moment, the surrounding cultivators let out a low cry. Lu Ping frowned and turned to look at Tianyu. He saw that this kid actually took out a new flame. Geocentric molten flame, mid-grade profound level. Lu Ping looked at enlightened Master Xianfang. Naturally, Lu Ping was very familiar with this geocentric molten flame. It was a treasure that he had obtained from Flying Spirit Island's crafting hall. After that, this spiritual fire somehow ended up in Taoist Master Xianfang's hands. Back in the True Spirit Side Courtyard's grand competition, Taoist Master Xianfang had used this spiritual fire to challenge Lu Ping's alchemy skills. Now that it was in Tianyu's hands, it was obvious that Taoist Master Xianfang was secretly supporting him. No wonder this brat had such an ugly expression when he saw his opponents take out their spiritual fire yesterday. It turned out that he was regretting his carelessness. The geocentric molten flame was a type of flame with a violent nature. Compared to alchemy, it was actually more suitable for refining tools. However, a spirit flame that was not suitable for alchemy would still be more effective than other flames in alchemy. There was no doubt that Tianyu's alchemy skills had improved because of this spirit flame. While the surrounding cultivators exclaimed in low voices, they were naturally secretly happy. Yesterday, Pei Yen, a little female cultivator, had taken first place. This made the disciples of Jinling feel very regretful. Now that they saw the Pill Pavilion's most outstanding participant in the exam, Tianyu also took out a spiritual fire of heaven and earth. This made the disciples of Jinling, who hoped that the Pill Pavilion could take first place again, very excited. This time, Tianyu was concocting a blue water pellet, not the azure wood pellet that Lu Ping had expected. Tianyu cultivated a wood elemental cultivation technique, so he was quite experienced in cultivating spirit herbs. He was also very sensitive to the transformation of medicinal properties of spirit herbs. This was also one of the main reasons why he was able to rise in the pellet pavilion. After the alchemy started, there was not much difference between the four of them. Although Tianyu and Pei Yen's talent in alchemy was higher than the other two, their experience in alchemy was obviously lower. Looking at the other two's proficiency in alchemy, it was obvious that they had made a lot of preparations for core forging stage pills in private. In contrast, Tianyu and Pei Yen's seemed to be a little shaky. However, Tianyu and Pei Yen's perception of the transformation of the medicinal properties of the spiritual herbs in the furnace was far better than the other two. Their control of the fire and the use of fire-controlling hand seals were not as good as the other two, but they grasped the timing of the changes in the fire very accurately. As the alchemy process continued, Tianyu and Pei Yen, who were originally a little less experienced, gradually caught up and even surpassed the other two. At this time, Lu Ping could basically see that the other two had no chance of forming the pills. Although they were very proficient in the hand seals, they were too lacking in the timing of the transformation of the medicinal properties of the spiritual herbs in the furnace and the timing of the changes in the fire. The medicinal properties of the spiritual herbs were not stimulated enough. After entering the core condensation stage, the pills would gradually collapse. On the contrary, if Tianyu and Pei Yen did the right thing at the last moment, they still had a chance of forming one or two pills. Seeing that Lu Ping was in low spirits, Perfected Xian Yu, who was next to him, asked, "What's wrong? You don't have much hope." Although he knew that one of the two cultivators was Perfected Xian Yu's disciple, Lu Ping still nodded and said, "The two at the front still have a glimmer of hope, but the two at the back probably won't have much of a chance." Perfected Xian Yen, who was next to him, was a little skeptical when he heard this, but he didn't say anything. Although Perfected Xian Yu couldn't tell, he believed most of Lu Ping's words, and a trace of disappointment inevitably appeared on his face. When Lu Ping saw Perfected Xian Yu's expression, he comforted him. Actually, these two junior brothers are only one step away from becoming Grandmaster alchemists. It's just that their talent is slightly inferior to Tianyu and Pei Yen. After the big exam, give them more pointers and give them a few furnaces of 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs for practice. I think within 3 to 5 years, our sect will have 2 more Grandmasters alchemists. Perfected Xian Yu nodded and didn't say anything more. At this time, there were already people opening their furnaces on the square. Whether it was the quality or the success rate of the pills, there wasn't much difference compared to yesterday's. It could be seen that the 7-step marked pill was indeed a kind of pill that was extremely suitable for the Pill Pavilion's big exam. Several Grandmasters were considering whether they should cancel the 4th free alchemy event in the future and only leave it for those disciples who wanted to become Grandmaster alchemists. They could even set the threshold higher. At the very least, they had to refine a 6-step marked pill before they were qualified to break through to the core forging stage, so as to avoid wasting the sect's spiritual herbs. Just as the few cultivators who were refining half-step core forging stage pills finished their furnaces, the 4 Grandmasters also entered the stage of pill condensation. As Lu Ping expected, Perfected Xian Dian's disciple and Perfected Xian Yu's disciple had their pills collapse one after the other, causing the surrounding Jinling disciples to be greatly disappointed. The 2 alchemists also looked at their furnaces in dismay. Everyone's eyes were focused on the last 2 people. Lu Ping's expression was calm, as if he had already expected the result of the competition between the 2. The other Grandmasters, on the other hand, seemed somewhat nervous. At this time, Pei Yen suddenly opened a small gap in her furnace. The cultivators outside the square were in an uproar. This was the critical moment of pill condensation. Pill chi was being condensed, so if she opened the furnace, wouldn't all her previous efforts be in vain? The Grandmasters knew that Pei Yen had a spirit treasure that could increase the success rate of pill condensation and wanted to put it into the furnace. This was the perfect time. Sure enough, Pei Yen pushed her hands forward, and in an extremely ingenious manner, she used a spirit sealing technique to force the overflowing pill chi back into the furnace. Then she poured a large amount of spirit ice water into the furnace. This beautiful pill control technique won the cheers of all the cultivators present. Even the few alchemy grandmasters were quite impressed. At the same time, Tianyu also opened his furnace. He picked out a few drops of viscous liquid from a jade bottle and flew into the furnace. This was the purple crystal honey that the grandmasters of the pill pavilion were very familiar with. At this time, the grandmasters already knew that these two people would most likely be able to refine pills for the core forging stage. Two grandmasters were about to be born in front of everyone. The last time Junling directly became an alchemist in the major examination was hundreds of years ago, when Lyra Laozu was born. Taking advantage of this last moment, perfected Xian Yu asked Lu Ping, "Martial nephew Lu, this time, what reward did you prepare for the first place?" As soon as perfected Xian Yu asked this question, the alchemists present all pricked up their ears. Although Lu Ping was the chief examiner, the reward he gave was naturally the highest. It also depended on the grade of the reward. If the first place's reward was not high, then the examiners would naturally be happy to follow behind. If the first place's reward was high, then the examiners behind would naturally be willing to bleed. Lu Ping smiled and said, "Didn't there already be news a few days ago? This time, I will definitely reward the first place heavily. As for the rest of the martial uncles, you can decide according to your discretion." The grandmasters were startled. They didn't expect Lu Ping to be so straightforward. Could it be that the rumors a few days ago had really forced this martial nephew to the cliff? The grandmasters of the pill pavilion glanced at perfected Xianjing without anyone noticing. At this time, at the corner of perfected Xianjing's mouth, of course, at this time, the sneer on perfected Xianjing's face could not be hidden from Lu Ping. In all likelihood, the rumors from that day were related to this old fellow. Perfected Xian Yu seemed to feel that this was not simple, so he continued to ask, "Then what treasure does martial nephew intend to reward the first place with?" Lu Ping said without hesitation, "If Tianyu is first, then it will be a mystic-level high-grade spiritual fire. If Pei Yen is first, then it will be a high-grade alchemy furnace." The grandmasters were instantly shocked. Spiritual fire of heaven and earth? High-grade alchemy furnace? Did they hear wrongly? How could the reward be so ridiculous? Then what kind of reward should we offer? Mystic-level mid-grade spiritual fire? Mystic-level alchemy furnace. It wasn't that they couldn't afford these things, but to them, it was really cutting off their own flesh. Don't be fooled by the fact that these grandmasters had earth-grade spiritual fires and high-grade alchemy furnaces at the pill exhibition. However, those things either belonged to their sex or they had cultivated for hundreds of years to accumulate. If they were to take out other spiritual fires and alchemy furnaces, it would really not be an easy task. The gazes that swept towards perfected Xianjing began to become less friendly. Perfected Xianjing's face also turned from green to white, and then from white to black. He had miscalculated. He had forgotten that this guy was the famous Many Treasures boy. But even a Many Treasures boy wouldn't be so wasteful. It was just a pill pavilion's examination, so why did he have to take out such a high reward? Perfected Xianjing cursed in his heart. His eyes flickered as he wondered if he could lower the standard of the reward. He was currently in a tight spot. In order to break through to the late stage of the core forging realm, not only had his wealth shrunk, but he also owed a lot of people. If it wasn't for his identity as an alchemy grandmaster, he was afraid that people would not lend him these things. At this time, perfected Xian Yu once again said to Lu Ping, "Martial nephew Lu, isn't this reward a bit too high? How can it be divided into men and women?" Chapter 877. Is it high? With a strange expression on his face, Lu Ping asked, "These two are about to finish their golden core and will soon become grandmaster alchemists. They are both rare geniuses in the cultivation world, so it's only right to reward them with these things. As for male and female, it's not that I'm biased. Originally, I wanted to reward them with a high-grade alchemy furnace, but I didn't expect them to refine pills of the core forging stage, so I changed the reward method at the last minute. Reverend Li Yenshan listened curiously. He really wanted his disciple to win first place, not for anything else, but just the high-grade alchemy furnace promised by Grandmaster Lu Xianping made his heart beat faster. No matter what, it would be better than his old alchemy furnace. Reverend Li Yenshan quickly followed Reverend Xian Yu's words and asked, "Reverend Lu, may I ask, why did you change the reward method?" Although Reverend Li Yenshan could not wait for the high-grade alchemy furnace to fall into his disciple's hands, he still asked Lu Ping respectfully. Except for Reverend Xianfang and Li Yenshan, the examiners present were all elders of Lu Ping. However, when Lu Ping talked and laughed in front of these people, none of the alchemy masters dared to put on airs in front of him. Naturally, Reverend Li Yenshan could see it clearly. Moreover, few people in the North Sea had not heard of Reverend Lu Xuanping's illustrious name, so Reverend Li Yenshan was extremely respectful to this cultivator of the same generation. Lu Ping laughed and said, "It's fine if they haven't obtained the title of alchemy master, but if they do, at least Tian Yu will be qualified to control a high-grade alchemy furnace because he is a disciple of the Elixir Pavilion. In this case, I might as well reward him with a spiritual fire, so that he won't have to worry about holding 2 high-grade alchemy furnaces." 2 high-grade alchemy furnaces. Reverend Li Yenshan was conflicted. He had long heard that Junling had the potential to conquer the North Sea. It seemed that the other sects in the North Sea really could not compare with Reverend Xianfang. Previously, Reverend Li Yenshan had invited him several times to become an outer sect elder of Junling. Should he become an outer sect elder? At least he could get Yen or the identity of an inner sect disciple of Junling, and maybe he could get Junling's strong support in the future. But Li Yenshan sighed softly. At this moment, the scene suddenly fell silent. Pei Yenner and Tian Yu had already opened their furnaces and taken out their pills. Grandmaster Li Yenshan's attention was also drawn to them. A frigid ice pill flew out of Pei Yenner's cauldron and was put into a jade bottle by the excited little female cultivator. On the other side, 2 blue water pills flew out of Tian Yu's cauldron. The pill pavilion's plaza was filled with thunderous cheers. Not only was it for the 2 new alchemy grandmasters, but it was also because Tian Yu had finally obtained the first place in the exam. In the end, this position was not occupied by an external alchemist. Tian Yu smiled apologetically at Pei Yenner. If he hadn't used the purple crystal honey at the last moment, it would have been hard to determine the outcome of this alchemy. Although Pei Yenner seemed to have used a spiritual treasure that could increase the success rate, it couldn't be compared to the purple crystal honey. On the other hand, Pei Yenner was not disappointed because she had lost the first place. She was still immersed in her excitement to be able to become an alchemy grandmaster like her teacher, perfected Li Yenshan. Reverend Li Yenshan, on the other hand, looked regretful. He had missed the high-grade furnace. The results of the Pellet Pavilion's examination were clear at a glance, so Lu Ping didn't delay any longer. Without hesitation, he immediately entered the reward distribution stage. The top 10 alchemy masters were rewarded. Although it was just a sum of spirit stones and spirit herbs, it was a considerable amount. Of course, what was even more exciting was the reward given by the 9 examiners. Unfortunately, there was no reward for the 10th place, because there were only 9 examiners. Although Lu Ping had informed the other alchemy masters, no one knew what treasures the examiners were going to give. Even the 9 alchemy masters were looking forward to it. Tian Yu was startled. He realized it was Reverend Lu Xianping. Reverend Lu Xianping was going to reward him. Tian Yu hurried forward and bowed. "Greetings, Uncle Master Lu." Lu Ping nodded. "I've seen your hard work. To be able to become the first alchemy master among the 4th-generation disciples, you far exceeded my expectations." Lu Ping flipped his palm. A sky-blue flame burned quietly in Lu Ping's palm. Gasps could be heard all around. A heaven and earth spiritual fire. It was a heaven and earth spiritual fire. Reverend Lu Xuanping's reward for the first place was a heaven and earth spiritual fire. and from the looks of it, it should be a mystic high-grade heaven and earth spiritual fire. Although the alchemy masters knew that Lu Ping was going to reward Tian Xian with a mystic high-grade heaven and earth spiritual fire, they were still surprised when they saw the indigo spirit fire. Especially Reverend Li Yenshan. The heaven and earth spiritual fire he controlled was only a mystic high-grade heaven and earth spiritual fire. Moreover, the thunderbolt flame was more violent. How could it compare to the indigo spirit fire, which was the most suitable for alchemy? The other alchemy masters were not surprised by the quality of the indigo spirit fire, but by the indigo spirit fire itself. Most of them knew that Lu Ping's rise in alchemy was due to the inheritance of a rogue alchemy master. This indigo spirit fire was the most important inheritance of that rogue alchemy master. This indigo spirit fire was of great significance to Lu Ping. There was a tradition in the alchemy world, which was to value an alchemy master's first inheritance. This was because the existence of this inheritance usually meant the continuation of the alchemy master's inheritance. The indigo spirit fire was undoubtedly the best inheritance for Lu Ping. Lu Ping's alchemy skills had improved by leaps and bounds. From the indigo spirit fire to the mysterious heaven-burning spirit fire, to the eastern purple chi flame, the crimson spirit fire, and the silver spirit fire, there were many alchemy masters that were of a higher grade than the indigo spirit fire. However, Lu Ping had never abandoned the lowest grade indigo spirit fire. But now, Lu Ping was going to reward the indigo spirit fire to Tianyu. The alchemy masters looked at each other and then looked at Tianyu with an expression that said, "This kid is so lucky." Tianyu had no idea what the indigo spirit fire meant to Lu Ping. He was so excited that he carefully received the heaven and earth spirit fire that now belonged to him. He did not notice the strange looks that the other alchemy masters were giving him. This was the first heaven and earth spirit fire that he had obtained. Previously, the earth core flame was only lent to him by sage Xian Fong for the elixir pavilion's assessment. It was not his. But now, this indigo spirit fire truly belonged to him. Moreover, the earth core flame could not be compared to the indigo spirit fire in terms of fire seed quality or alchemy. Lu Ping looked at Tianyu, who was playing with the indigo spirit fire in his hand. He suddenly asked, "Tianyu, have you refined the pill formula that I gave you?" Pill formula? Tianyu's body trembled. In the forbidden area of Yingshan Immortal Academy's back mountain, Sage Lu Xuanping's mount, Sage Dagui, Sage Lu Qiner, and an unfamiliar little girl appeared in front of Tianyu. Could this be real? Lu Ping saw that Tianyu seemed to have turned into stone after he asked the question. Tianyu's mind actually started to wander. This fellow was really a weirdo. But did you forget? Or did you not refine it? Tianyu quivered. Only then did he remember who was standing in front of him. Cold sweat instantly soaked his back. This was real, this was real. Tianyu could no longer contain the excitement in his heart. His hands trembled as he took out the 3 jade bottles from his storage bag. He knelt in front of Lu Ping and said, "Disciple does not dare to forget. Disciple has already refined the essence expanding pill, meridian toughening pill, and pure blood pill. Disciple hopes that martial uncle can inspect them." At this moment, everyone felt that something was wrong with the situation. When they saw Tianyu suddenly kneeling in front of Lu Ping as a disciple, the entire Pill Pavilion Plaza instantly burst into an uproar. Sage Lu Xianping, who had not had a disciple to inherit his legacy, was going to accept a disciple for the first time? Or did this fellow want to become Sage Lu Xuanping's disciple by getting first place in the Pill Pavilion examination? The uproar of hundreds of people instantly died down. The entire plaza was completely silent. Hundreds of pairs of eyes looked at Tianyu and Sage Lu Xianping, who were kneeling on the ground. Beads of sweat flowed down Tianyu's hair to the ground. Tianyu's eyes did not dare to wander. He stared at the ground in front of Lu Ping. Lu Ping laughed. He took the 3 jade bottles from Tianyu's hands and poured out an elixir from each of them. Then he returned the jade bottles to Tianyu and said, "Get up. It is rare for disciples of the Zhonghua lineage to perform such a grand ceremony. You have refined these 3 elixirs. In the future, you will be my disciple." You only need to be respectful in your heart. This was it? He became Sage Lu Xuanping's disciple so easily? The surrounding cultivators originally wanted to watch an exciting show, but they did not expect perfected Lu Xianping to finish the act so easily. However, Tianyu was immersed in great joy at this moment. To be able to become Sage Lu Xuanping's disciple, the so-called first place in the Pill Pavilion and the other rewards were no longer important. No, this azure spiritual fire, I can't lose this azure spiritual fire. I would rather die than lose it. This was a legacy. That's right, back then, Reverend Lu Xianping, no, it was teacher. Back then, when teacher became an alchemist, it was said that it was because of this blue spirit fire. This was a legacy item. Teacher had passed on his alchemy inheritance to Lin Fan. At this moment, Tianyu finally understood the true meaning of Lu Ping rewarding him with the azure spiritual fire. Seeing that Tianyu understood his meaning, Lu Ping couldn't help but laugh. Since you have refined these 3 elixirs and have a 7-step marked pill, your cultivation has also reached the peak of the blood condensation realm. It is only a matter of time before you advance to the core forging realm. Tianyu finally calmed down. He kept the azure spiritual fire and listened attentively to Lu Ping's words. Lu Ping saw that Tianyu was still able to maintain his composure after experiencing such great joy. He nodded in his heart and said, although you are already a disciple of the Hearing Wave Manor, you can only formally acknowledge me as your master after you advance to the core forging realm. During this period of time, you should focus on tempering your cultivation. After that, go into closed-door cultivation on Huangli Island. Disciple will remember. Lu Ping nodded his head in satisfaction. He smiled and said, since you have refined the azure spiritual fire, you are already the sect's 10th Grandmaster Alchemist. You have the right to control a high-grade pill furnace in the Pill Pavilion. This is also the reason why I gave you the azure spiritual fire but didn't prepare a pill furnace for you. Remember to collect it yourself. Don't be like me, who only found out about this privilege after becoming an alchemist for many years. Chapter 878. Although Lu Ping was joking, the dissatisfaction in his words was heard clearly by Perfected Xian Yan and the other 2. Perfected Xian Yu also knew about this matter. Although he blamed the 3 of them for getting caught in their own trap, he did not want them to lose face, so he smiled and said, Martial Nephew Lu, you must be joking. Nowadays, who would dare to slight your disciple? However, Martial Nephew, you've just become a teacher, so as your martial uncle, I have to show my sincerity. Lu Ping stopped Perfected Xian Yu, who was about to take out a gift for Tianyu, and said with a smile, right now, it's just a confirmation of his status. In the future, when he officially becomes my disciple, it won't be too late for martial uncle to give him a gift. Right now, it's more important to reward the alchemists. Perfected Xian Yu knew that Lu Ping was just taking the opportunity to grumble, so he hurriedly patted his head and pretended to have forgotten. He said, isn't this all because of you, martial nephew? You suddenly came up with this, I almost forgot the most important thing today. Having said that, he waved at the little female cultivator, Pei Yan, and said, little friend Pei Yan, come over here. Her master, Master Li Yenshan, and Perfected Xian Fang were friends of the same generation. Pei Yan stepped forward and said, Disciple Pei Yan greets martial uncle. Perfected Xian Yu laughed and took out a wooden box from his storage Dharma artifact. He said, your martial uncle Lu Xianping is rich and imposing, I can't compare to him. Your alchemy skills are not inferior to Tianyu's, and you're also a grandmaster alchemist. Moreover, you call me martial uncle, so no matter what, the old man must give you something decent. Taoist Xianyue opened the wooden box, and inside was an exquisite jade hairpin. Taoist Xianyu reluctantly looked away from the jade hairpin and placed the wooden box in Pei Yan's hands. He said, although this jade hairpin is not a good magic treasure, the 2 enchantments it has condensed can not only be used as a defensive magic treasure in times of crisis, but this jade hairpin can also be used to store vital energy for a short period of time. In the future, when you need to refine a pill that consumes a lot of vital energy, you can store a part of it first. When your vital energy is exhausted during the process of refining the pill, You can take that part of vital energy back into your body and continue to use it. However, this jade hairpin can only store vital energy for a short period of time. For Pei Yan, who was a rogue cultivator and had yet to advance to the core forging stage, a defensive magic treasure with 2 restrictions was already rare and valuable. However, this jade hairpin had the ability to store true essence, so it could truly be regarded as a rare treasure. Most alchemists, when compared to cultivators of the same level, often had weak strength and insufficient true essence. After all, there were very few people like Lu Ping and Tianqin Laozu who had both alchemy and strength. And because of this jade hairpin that could store true essence was even more precious. Pei Yan was obviously very fond of this jade hairpin. She thanked Taoist Xian Yu and happily returned to Grandmaster Li Yenshan's side. When Taoist Xian Yan arrived, he took out the jade slips that he had accumulated over hundreds of years of cultivation and gave them to the third-place disciple of Taoist Xian Yu to copy. This spirit grass book could be said to be Taoist Xian Yan's growth manual. There might not be any pill recipes inside, but there were all kinds of Taoist Xian Yan's experiences in alchemy, as well as all kinds of spirit grasses that he had seen over the past hundreds of years. It could be said to be half of an alchemy grandmaster's inheritance. This was not a small reward. Usually, alchemists would only pass on these things to their disciples, and some would even choose only one disciple to pass on. Taoist Xian Yu naturally knew the importance of this spirit grass book. In surprise and joy, he quickly ordered his disciple to bow and thank Taoist Xian Yan. When it came to Taoist Xian Jing, Lu Ping's mocking gaze never left him. Taoist Xian Jing and Chonghua and Xiao Yao were not on good terms. When Lu Ping entered Chonghua Palace, Taoist Xian Jing had made things difficult for him. Because of this, Tianlin Laozu's disciple had even offended his superior and caused a scene with Taoist Xian Jing. Now that Lu Tianling Laozu was in charge of the sect, it was not good for Lu Ping to directly cause trouble with Taoist Xian Jing, but it was inevitable that he would secretly ridicule Taoist Xian Jing. Just as Taoist Xian Jing stood up, he heard each sneer in his ear. He turned around and glared at Lu Ping, but saw that Lu Ping had already turned his head and seemed to be pointing at Tianyu, who was standing behind him. The disciple who won 4th place was Taoist Xian Dian's disciple. This disciple naturally knew that the martial uncle in front of him was famous for being stingy, so he didn't expect him to give him anything good. Although he felt a little regretful, he could only do so. Taoist Xian Jing was really in a difficult position at this time. First, he was punished by Fornax Laozu to refine pills for the sect for free because of the soul-stealing secret technique. As a result, he didn't have any income for decades. Then, he borrowed money to advance to the late stage of core forging. Now, he really didn't have any good things on him. The small items that he had prepared were enough for the previous Pill Pavilion examinations, but today's situation had obviously put Lu Ping in a difficult position. Senior brother Xian Yan had even taken out his own spirit grass catalog and made a copy of it for the disciple who had won the prize. Who knew how much hatred this senior brother would have for this disciple? Taoist Xian Jing clenched his teeth and took out a mid-grade pill furnace from his storage magic tool and handed it to Taoist Xian Dian's disciple. When Taoist Xian Fang saw Taoist Xian Jing take out this mid-grade pill furnace, he couldn't help but stare blankly. This pill furnace was something that Taoist Xian Jing had asked for from his disciple, Taoist Xian Fang. Originally, he wanted to give it to a new disciple who had just entered Taoist Xian Jing's tutelage. He didn't think that Taoist Xian Jing would take it out here. Taoist Xian Fang looked at his teacher helplessly. His teacher was extremely narrow-minded and often held grudges against those who had offended him. This kind of grudge was extremely difficult to erase, but it was undeniable that Taoist Xian Fang treated his own people extremely well. Even if that person later developed a great dislike for him, Taoist Xian Fang still treated them extremely well, just like Uncle Master Tianqin. After that, the rewards were uneventful. The Pill Pavilion examinations ended in several unexpected situations. However, 2 pill masters had suddenly appeared in Junling's examinations. Furthermore, one of them had actually been accepted as a disciple by the Water Sword Immortal, who had never accepted a disciple before. When the news spread, The unknown pill master Tianyu had already become a hot rising star in Jinling, and even the entire North Sea's cultivation world. The generous rewards given by the Pill Pavilion examiners in Jinling also caused everyone in Jinling to talk about it enthusiastically. Only the Pill Pavilion examiners had a lot of complaints about this. With this precedent set, the Pill Pavilion examinations in the future would be a journey of financial loss for every Pill Pavilion examiner. However, this would probably motivate even more pill masters to work hard and improve themselves. The Pill Pavilion examiners could only use this as an excuse to lose money. In reality, the Pill Pavilion was more lively than ever before. Every pill master had thrown themselves into the training of pill refinement with an unprecedented passion. Of course, the price for this was that the Pill Pavilion's reserves of spirit herbs were decreasing at a far faster rate than before. Tianyu's high-rank pill furnace was already in his hands. Although Jinling's high-rank pill furnaces were rare, with the expansion of Jinling's influence, the development of the spirit mines on Frost Island, and the relocation of the Mirror Spirit Mine to the Ying-Su Ancient Mirror Spirit Mine, the excavation of the Ying-Tiandao Plaza and other ruins, and the gains from exploring the outer seas with Huangli Island as the center, Jinling's accumulation continued to increase. There were already a few more high-rank pill furnaces than before, and even the top-rank pill furnaces that were so damaged that they no longer dared to use them for pill refinement were almost completely repaired by the artifact forging hall. At this time, Lu Ping had already arrived on Frost Island through the teleportation array. This island, which had caused countless disturbances in the North Sea in the past, was no longer as desolate as it used to be with a layer of ice covering it. At this time, the island had already been divided into several distinct groups of buildings according to the arrangements of each faction. As for the buildings on Jinling, because Tian Shui Laozu had been stationed here for the past few years, it had become a unique ice garden. Because of the existence of a large spirit stone mine on Frost Island, it occupied a special position in the entire North Sea cultivation world. 70% of the entire mine was divided among the 9 major sects of the North Sea, and the remaining 30% belonged to the other 12 factions that had Dharma adepts. The current situation in the North Sea was basically divided into 3 camps. The 4 major sects led by the Zhenling sect, the Loose Alliance formed by the Mysterious Spirit sect, the Vast Ocean sect, the Sea Flame sect, the Flying Feather sect, and the Linggu sect, and the 12 neutral forces. These 3 major factions each took turns sending Dharma adepts to guard Frost Island, so that the entire Frost Island always maintained a scale of at least 6 Dharma adepts. Among them, Jinling, Xianling, and the Vast Ocean sect all had Laozu guarding them all year round, because these 3 sects had the largest share of the mine on Frost Island. Furthermore, because Jinling had monopolized a mid-sized spirit stone mine, after Tianling Laozu returned to Jinling to assume the position of sect leader, the ones who came to guard Frost Island had always been mid-Dharma adepts. Just as Lu Ping came out of the teleportation formation, he felt that the spirit qi on the entire Frost Island seemed to fluctuate strangely. Before Lu Ping could use his divine will, a series of roars came from the southeast direction of Frost Island. The southeast direction was the place where Lu Ping had discovered the mid-sized spirit stone mine. After that, Tianling Laozu had built Jinling's palace on that mid-sized spirit stone mine to guarantee ownership of the entire mine. After that, the few Laozu who guarded Frost Island also used the palace that Tianling Laozu had built. Lu Ping's divine will instantly extended towards the southeast direction. Immediately, a majestic divine will returned. However, because Lu Ping's divine will came from the direction of Jinling's teleportation formation, this majestic divine will was cautious, but not hostile. Martial Grand Aunt Tian Shui, disciple Lu Xianping. Lu Ping hurriedly stated his identity. That majestic divine will showed an extremely shocked expression and instantly retracted. Lu Ping scratched his head. He didn't go to the palace to greet Tian Shui Laozu first. Instead, there was a flash of light under his feet, and he headed towards the center of the spirit qi fluctuation. Chapter 879. After the spirit stone vein was discovered on Frost Island, this medium-sized island was protected by a great island protection formation. Due to the crisscrossing of the various great forces, the island protection formation was divided into several areas of different sizes. Because Lu Ping and the others had struck first, Jinling had not only obtained the only medium-sized spirit stone vein, but also occupied the largest area of the entire frost zone. When Lu Ping arrived at the coast of the East Sea, he saw a group of Mara attacking the Great Island Protection Formation from the sea. This was the area that Jinling was defending. Dozens of Jinling cultivators used spirit guiding talismans and the mother-child traction formation that spiritual master Xian Chen had set up to protect themselves. Then, they charged out of the Great Island Protection Formation and fought against Mara, who was attacking the Great Island Protection Formation. Once the barrier was about to collapse, they would retreat back into the Great Formation. After recovering their true energy, they would use new spirit talismans to guide the Great Formation's barrier out to fight. Originally, as the barrier continued to break, the Great Island Protection Formation would also be weakened. However, the one thing that Frost Island did not lack was spirit stones. Over the years, the guardian Laozu had continuously operated and formed a few small spirit veins near the palace. It was enough to support the continuous operation of the mother-child traction formation. It was precisely because of the mother-child traction array's protection that the Zhenling sect's cultivators dared to take turns to fight the enemies. Many blood condensation cultivators even joined the battle near the island, greatly reducing the number of cultivators' casualties. Moreover, as the battles continued, these cultivators gained more combat experience and grew stronger at a much faster rate. The northern area of Jinling was under the control of Flying Feather Sect. At this time, the cultivators of Flying Feather Sect, Blue Sea Sect, Xianling Sect, and other sects were gathered in the Great Island Protection Formation several kilometers away. They laughed and laughed as they watched the battle between Jinling and Mara, their faces full of schadenfreude. The southern region was under the control of the 12 forces. A group of cultivators had gathered there as well. However, unlike the cultivators from Xianling Sect, Azure Sea Sect, and Ocean Flame Sect, these cultivators were not there to watch the show. Instead, they were standing guard in their own regions, in case the demonic sieves suddenly changed their target of attack. Jinling disciples were not the only ones fighting against Mara. There were also disciples from Yujin Sect, Shui Yen Pavilion, and Chongming Sect mixed in with the Jinling disciples. They worked together with the Jinling disciples to defend against Mara's attacks on the Great Island Protection Formation. There were about 150 cultivators from the 4 sections. Among them, there were about 70 core forging cultivators and the rest were late blood condensation cultivators. Most of these blood condensation cultivators were Jinling's disciples. Lu Ping even saw Wang Qi, who had also reached the peak of blood condensation realm. Taoist Master Xiansen commanded the cultivators in the middle and divided them into 3 groups. One group activated the mother and child traction array and fought against the barrier that was separated from the island's great array. The other group was on standby on the island and could attack at any time. The third group was to seize the time to recover their consumed Zhenyuan. Mara could see that there were about 1,000 of them attacking the Great Island Protection Formation. Among them, there were about 100 to 200 core forging Great Azuras and Great Devil cultivators. The rest were equivalent to blood condensation Great Azuras and Great Devil cultivators. Although Jinling's cultivators had the support of the mother-child traction formation, they were able to fight against Mara repeatedly. However, Mara had the advantage in numbers. Furthermore, they would not stop until one of them was dead. Even though Jinling's cultivators tried their best to block the attacks, there were still quite a number of attacks that landed on the Great Island Protection Formation, causing ripples to form. Tian Shui Laozu did not reveal herself. Lu Ping extended his divine sense to the outside of the island. Immediately, he discovered 2 faintly discernible auras moving around the island. These 2 auras belonged to 2 Transcendence Realm Blood Mara. It was because of these 2 faintly discernible auras that were restraining Tian Shui Laozu, causing Tian Shui Laozu to be unable to deal with the Mara that was attacking the Great Island Protection Formation. Although enlightened Master Xiansen was giving out orders, the natal artifact in his hand danced around his body. Wherever there was danger, he would help. As time passed, he had long become Mara's target. These Mara mainly consisted of water Azuras, ice Azuras, and wind Azuras. Due to the protection of the Great Island Protection Formation and the Meridian Suppression Spirit Locking Formation, these Azuras were unable to infiltrate the Frost Island despite their strange escape techniques. Thus, they could only fight head-on. Enlightened Master Xianxin had just blocked the assassination of a wind Azura. Suddenly, he noticed that someone had charged out of the Great Island Protection Formation without his permission. Furthermore, they did not even activate the Spirit Guiding Talisman. His heart was instantly filled with rage. Did they not want their lives anymore? Enlightened Master Xianxin relied on his Spirit Guiding Barrier to block the attack of a water Azura. Then, he took the opportunity to disperse the black fog that was wrapped around a devil Azura. He shouted, "Which reckless fellow is it? Scram back to the island for the old man." He only heard a chuckle beside his ear. A faint light flashed by his side. The devil Azura that was heavily injured by him did not even have the chance to retreat before it was beheaded by the faint light. At this moment, Taoist Master Xianxin could clearly see that the glimmering light was actually a flying sword. However, when he heard the laughter, he already knew who it was. However, this casual sword strike was able to easily kill a devil cultivator equivalent to a late core forging cultivator. Even though he had the advantage of a sneak attack, it still caused Taoist Master Xianxin to sigh inwardly. This brat's strength is becoming more and more unfathomable. With a flick of the autumn water sword, a soul-devouring crystal flew out of the devil Azura's head. It was caught by Lu Ping, who had just appeared. "Junior Master, do you want to rest for a while?" Under the sweep of Lu Ping's powerful consciousness, the amazing escape technique that the Azuras were so proud of was immediately revealed to Lu Ping. While he was speaking, a water Azura that had just emerged from the seawater beneath his feet had its shoulders sliced in half. The water Azura's howls abruptly stopped as the seawater submerged it once more. The blue shadow of the sword flashed and disappeared. Enlightened Master Xianxin laughed and said, "All right, I'll leave this place to you." After saying that, he turned around and dived into the island's protective formation without looking back. An ice Azura leaped over the surface of the water. With every step it took, the seawater would turn into ice for it to step on. However, just as it was about to pounce on Lu Ping, it saw Lu Ping casually pointing at it. Just as it was about to leap, it suddenly felt its feet stop moving. When it looked down, it did not know when the seawater that had turned into ice had turned back into water. Two waves of seawater spiraled up from under its feet and tightly wrapped around its legs. The ice Azura roared, as if it was laughing at Lu Ping's insignificant skill. The water that spiraled upwards immediately turned into ice again, then shattered and fell into the water. However, it had forgotten that the seawater was endless. It could not possibly freeze the entire sea into ice. A steady stream of water flowed backward toward its legs. No matter how it performed its innate magic power, it was unable to freeze all the water. Its entire body was still tightly bound above the sea, unable to move. At that moment, the Great Shura, which was equivalent to a late-stage core forging realm Great Shura, finally realized that something was wrong. It reached out and waved its hand, causing the water vapor within a radius of dozens of feet from the sea to gather around its body. In an instant, it was covered in a layer of ice armor. When it looked up, a sword light was already in front of it. The ice Azura straightened its palm, and 9 ice walls were erected in front of it in a row. The sword light pierced through 8 ice walls in a row. Just as the ice Azura thought it could take a breather, it saw that there was another sword light hidden behind the first one. The second sword light arrived first, piercing through the last ice wall and heading straight for the ice Azura's neck. The ice Azura obviously did not expect such a strange thing to happen. It tried its best to dodge, but its feet were firmly bound above the sea, so it could only try its best to avoid the attack on its throat. A scream was heard, and the ice Azura's shoulder was pierced. The ice Azura took the opportunity to perform its innate magic power. Its body shone with a cold luster, freezing and breaking the water column that was entangled around its feet. It formed a huge ice cover under its feet, blocking all the seawater that was flowing upward. The ice Azura turned to escape, but it did not see Lu Ping pointing his finger. The autumn water sword, which had been exhausted from piercing through the ice wall, suddenly shook. A rich bluish-purple light flashed on the sword, and then the flying sword shot toward the ice Azura's back like a long arrow released from a bow. The ice Azura, who had just broken free from its shackles, had yet to escape far when a huge force suddenly hit its back. The ice Azura staggered a few steps forward, and when it finally stopped and looked down, it saw a fist-sized hole in its chest. The ice Azura screamed in panic, and before it could stop, its entire body began to melt. By the time the scream stopped, its body had completely melted into the seawater. Lu Ping had only come out of the Frost Island's protective formation for a moment, and out of the 3 Mara that were equivalent to late-stage core forging Mara, 2 were dead, and 1 was seriously injured. This kind of power caused the morale of the entire Mara tribe to plummet, and the rhythm of their attack abruptly came to a halt. It's the Water Sword Immortal, Spiritual Master Lu Xianping. Immediately, another cultivator recognized Lu Ping and shouted, "It's Senior Brother Lu. Senior Brother Lu's strength is truly outstanding. It's Senior Uncle Lu." The morale of Jinling's side was greatly boosted. The cultivators of Xianling sect, Songhai sect, and the others who were watching the battle between Jinling sect and Mo Luo from afar were dumbfounded at first. Then they started cursing and swearing. After that, they all quieted down, no longer gloating like before. On the other side, the cultivators of the 12 forces were also slightly restless. They were clearly shocked by Lu Ping's methods that far surpassed cultivators of the same level. At this time, Lu Ping's divine sense had already sensed that 2 auras that were equivalent to blood Mara were swimming on the surface of the sea, and they were paying attention to him. However, Lu Ping didn't care at all. Seeing that the Mara that had retreated slightly earlier had once again gathered and surged towards the island, Lu Ping's faded autumn water sword stabbed into the seawater one after the other. At the same time, he shouted, "Disciples of Jinling, retreat to Frost Island." Retreat to Frost Island? Was Spiritual Master Lu Xianping going to fight against almost 1,000 Mara alone? While everyone was still hesitating, the sea within a radius of 300 meters suddenly trembled. Countless ripples suddenly appeared on the originally calm surface of the sea. When the ripples spread, they collided with each other, and clusters of water began to splash on the surface of the sea. It was as if the water within a radius of 300 meters was going to be lifted up by Lu Ping. At this time, Spiritual Master Xiansen's voice came from the island, "All disciples, retreat to Frost Island." Chapter 880. Hundreds and thousands of boiling areas appeared in the ocean within a radius of 1,000 feet. Gurgling seawater rose, and countless bubbles emerged from the seawater. The Moro Luo clansmen that had regrouped quickly retreated into the sea 1,000 feet in front of Lu Ping. Suddenly, Lu Ping shouted, "Rise!" The tumbling seawater rose from the bottom of the sea, and more than 10 broken limbs of water shuras floated up from the bottom of the sea, and then gradually melted in the seawater. Small water columns rose vertically from the sea, and then turned into water swords that were exactly the same as the autumn water sword. Each of the 1,296 water swords pointed upwards, and the sword hilt pointed downwards, forming a magnificent sword forest in front of Lu Ping. Just as the sword forest rose from the sea, a small portion of Mara had already rushed into the sword forest. Seeing the water swords rising from beside them, some of the Shuras immediately destroyed the water swords with their companion magic treasures and instruments in their hands. In an instant, the forest of swords was destroyed into countless splashing water droplets. However, none of the water droplets fell back into the sea. Instead, they regrouped and turned into water swords. The tips of the swords were pointed up, and the hilts were pointed down. However, this time, the 1,296 water swords did not appear in the sea region with a radius of 1,000 zhang. Instead, they appeared at the edge of the sea region, surrounding the several hundred demon luos that had entered the sea region. Lu Ping took a deep breath, and his hands formed a spell like a butterfly flying through flowers. Then 2 huge flying swords rushed out of the sea one after the other, and several weaker Mara that were close to them were cut into pieces on the spot by the dissipating sword aura. Spin! The two huge flying swords hovered above the sea, chasing each other, and the 1,296 water swords also began to spin according to the trajectory of the autumn water sword. Dense sword aura gushed out from the water swords, and at the same time, the surrounding seawater also surged up. Outside the sea within a radius of 1,000 feet, a water wall that was more than 10 feet high gradually rose, forming a huge water ring that completely surrounded hundreds of Mara. Then, as more than 1,000 water swords spun, each brought up a wave, and each wave began to play out the various experiences of a river from the source to the sea in midair. There were a total of 1,296 rivers, performing 1,296 ways to enter the sea, like 1,296 water ribbons, and finally gathered together to weave a huge cage. Every river was controlled by the great river flowing east sword technique, and every surging wave was like a sword wave formed by the 1,000 snow pile sword art. Every tributary of the river was a complete azure dragon disturbing the sea sword art. Every time the waves rose and fell, a loud sound would be like rocks piercing through the sky, and waves crashing against the shore. Sword array, this is a real sword array. Could it be that martial nephew Lu has already mastered a supreme divine ability? How is this possible? He hasn't even condensed his Dharma idol, so how could he have mastered a supreme divine ability? But if this is a great divine ability, when did the cultivation world have such a powerful great divine ability sword technique? Taoist Master Xianxin looked at the magnificent scene in the sky, and he really couldn't imagine that this was the result of a great divine ability sword technique. Not only Taoist Master Xianxin, but also the disciples of the Jinling sect and the other sects were all stunned by this huge cage that was decorated with countless sword lights, and it was like 100 rivers flowing into the sea. A huge cage with a circumference of 300 meters was enveloped by countless sword energies that soared into the sky. A huge sword formation with a circumference of 300 meters contained almost all of the sword arts and divine abilities that Lu Ping had mastered. At this time, Lu Ping's expression was solemn. Endless pure and thick true essence surged into the huge sword formation, supporting the countless sword lights to rampage and kill inside the cage. Inside the core space, 9 strange dragons swam back and forth on the surface of the huge golden core, almost stirring up a mess inside the golden core. The purple mist that spread around the golden core continuously expanded and contracted, then expanded and contracted again. The few divine ability talismans that had already formed in the red mist began to disintegrate and reform. At the same time, a few new divine ability talismans gradually formed in the red mist, and then quickly joined the reform. The sword art, raging waves hitting the shore, stone-piercing sky, 1,000 snow pile, green dragon ocean disturbance, and great river flowing east. The divine ability talismans formed by the 5 great sword arts combined together and formed a brand new talisman that looked like the huge sword formation cage outside Frost Island. The great divine ability talisman of the 100 rivers into the sea. Although this brand new talisman was formed by combining 5 great talismans, and it was still a great talisman, each of the 5 great talismans contained in it could be used individually or in combination at will. Each of the 5 great talismans could unleash power far beyond what it had been in the past. A strange howl suddenly resounded in the sky. Lu Ping, who had just formed the great divine ability talisman, paled in shock. With a thought, the water-controlling flag rose above his head, and a black curtain of light fell down. However, it was immediately pressed, dented, and shattered by an invisible blade. A white jade lotus bloomed under his feet, and 9 layers of energy burst out of Lu Ping's body, forming 9 lotus petals. However, they shattered in front of Lu Ping one by one. "How dare you!" A folding fan suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ping. The folding fan immediately opened, and countless wind and snow surged out from the surface of the fan. 3 feet away from the folding fan, an indistinct object was wrapped in layers of snow, forming a flat snow blade. Then, the wind and snow condensed again, forming a crystal-clear ice blade. The ice blade trembled, and countless ice shards fell. The thing that attacked Lu Ping disappeared again. This time, Lu Ping's divine sense finally captured the object hidden in the ice blade. It seemed to be a wind blade that could change its shape at will. A woman's hand stretched out from beside Lu Ping, holding the folding fan in her hand. It was unknown when Tian Shui Laozu had already appeared beside Lu Ping, helping Lu Ping to block this strange attack. At this moment, a copious amount of unparalleled energy surged, and the entire sea suddenly flowed backwards. Lu Ping's great divine ability sword cage, which was formed using 1296 water swords to form the 100 rivers into the sea sword formation, collapsed with a loud bang. Cries of alarm could be heard from the surroundings. These cries of alarm weren't because Lu Ping's great divine ability sword formation had been broken. Instead, it was because of the remaining hundreds of Mara, as well as the hundreds of Mara's dismembered limbs that were floating on the surface of the sea. At that time, close to 1,000 Mara had rushed over. However, half of them had been trapped by Lu Ping's 100 rivers into the sea sword technique. In just a short moment, over 300 Mara had been killed. The 100 Mara that had managed to escape were all badly mutilated. If it wasn't for the Mara's extraordinary vitality, it was likely that more than 300 Mara would have perished. Even Tian Shui Laozu didn't expect Lu Ping's divine ability to be so powerful. Among the 300 Azuras that had perished, there were at least 50 to 60 core forging stage Big Mara. There were also at least 5 to 6 core forging stage Azuras that were equivalent to late-stage core forging stage Azuras. However, they were all killed so easily. Exactly what kind of great divine ability was this? How could it have such might? At this moment, even Tian Shui Laozu's gaze towards Lu Ping started to waver. No wonder you were targeted by 2 blood Azuras. If it was me, I, your martial granduncle, would also go crazy. If I don't kill you, who else would I kill? Tian Shui Laozu, who was originally enraged by the 2 blood Azura's sudden attack on Lu Ping, threw out such a sentence. This caused Lu Ping, who was standing behind him, to not know whether to laugh or cry. The seawater swirled up, gradually forming a 7 feet tall water Azura. After that, a cool breeze swirled around the water Azura, and a green wind Azura appeared on the surface of the sea. Tian Shui Laozu looked at the 2 blood Azuras in front of her with a solemn expression. However, she said to Lu Ping, you should return to the island. This isn't something you can interfere with. Hearing this, Lu Ping nodded his head. After that, he turned into a ball of flowing water and floated on the surface of the sea. When he reappeared, he had already entered the island's protective formation, standing on the Frost Island. Martial Nephew Lu. Junior Brother Lu. Senior Brother Lu. Senior Uncle Lu. The Jinling cultivators and cultivators from other sects who had already gathered in front of the Frost Island's protective formation immediately greeted Lu Ping. Lu Ping had no time to answer them one by one. He turned around and nodded at Spiritual Master Xian Senator. After that, with a flash of light, he had already disappeared from the shore. He didn't even care about Tian Shui Laozu, who was facing off against the 2 blood Azuras. Everyone looked at each other. They didn't know why Lu Ping left. It should be known that at this moment, the battle between Tian Shui Laozu and the 2 blood Azuras was about to start. Although Tian Shui Laozu was a middle Dharma Laozu, the 2 blood Azuras also had spiritual treasures with them. Although the folding fan in Tian Shui Laozu's hand was extraordinary, it was still not an easy task to defend against the 2 blood Azuras. Spiritual Master Xian Sen looked in the direction where Lu Ping had left. He had a thoughtful expression on his face. Lu Ping hurried to the Ice Palace. It wasn't that he didn't care about the battle, but he knew that both sides wouldn't be able to fight. Putting aside the fact that the folding fan in Tian Shui Laozu's hand was one of Jinling's famous spiritual treasures, the snow fan, just how many Dharma adepts did Laozu have on Frost Island? Although these Laozu would usually sweep the snow in front of their door due to the restrictions of their own sects, that was only for the ordinary Azuras. Laozu knew that these Azuras would not be able to affect Frost Island at all. However, once the Blood Mara appeared, the nature of the battle would be different. Putting aside the fact that the Blood Mara was the source of the calamity and the natural enemy of all cultivators, If someone were to stand by and watch, the two blood Azuras would break through Junling's island protecting formation. Then, the ones who would suffer would not only be the Junling clan. Hence, Lu Ping predicted that this battle would ultimately end without any results. The two blood Azuras would definitely be able to sense the divine wills of the other human Dharma adepts who were hiding in the surroundings. Naturally, they would be cautious and not start the battle. Furthermore, even if the two blood Azuras joined hands, they might not be able to suppress Tian Shui Laozu. Furthermore, the true Yuan in Lu Ping's body was a mess. Although he had performed the Sea of All Rivers sword technique and finally mastered the other great sacred art sword techniques, condensing a complete sacred art talisman within the Dan Xia purple mist, at this moment, Lu Ping urgently needed to find a place to tidy up and recover the true Yuan in his body. The amount of true Yuan required to perform this great sacred art was too great. Chapter 881. The palace on Frost Island was built by Tian Ling Laozu in the past. Naturally, Lu Ping knew this place like the back of his hand. It only took him a moment to find a secret room. He walked inside and shut the secret room tightly. Then, he knocked on Linglong's wine cauldron. A small spirit vein was drawn out from the spirit vein beneath the palace. Linglong's wine cauldron was almost exposed. That Wind Azura's fatal blow was even able to cut through the defensive divine ability of the 9th grade White Jade Lotus and his protective aura. If Tian Shui Laozu had not suddenly saved him, Lu Ping could only rely on Linglong's wine cauldron to take the blow. Although the Linglong wine cauldron wasn't a defensive spirit treasure, it was still a spirit treasure. It should be more than enough to block the invisible companion spirit treasure that Lu Ping had weakened to 80% of its power. Lu Ping could not remember when was the last time he had exhausted his Zhen Yuan to such an extent. However, completely integrating the entire Sea of 100 Rivers sword art and condensing a brand new divine ability talisman within the red glow was still beyond Lu Ping's expectations. Moreover, this was the first time Lu Ping had used the combined Sea of 100 Rivers great divine ability. Most of the Zhen Yuan he used was used by Lu Ping to recondense the divine ability talisman in his heart space. It was only natural that his Zhen Yuan would be exhausted so quickly. As expected, the confrontation outside the island did not last long. When the two blood Azuras merged back into the wind and water, Tian Shui Laozu also returned to Huangli Island. The excited Junling cultivators also began to disperse. Wang Qi stared blankly at the empty sea outside the island. Are you very disappointed? Do you feel that you will never be able to reach his level? Wang Qi raised his head and saw Reverend Du Feng standing beside him. All these years, all of us have been trying to catch up to him. Du Feng's words seemed to be directed at Wang Qi, but they also seemed to be whispering to each other. Ji Xianxian in Xianchu, Xian Yong, Mi, Xian Ling, Xian Shang, Xian Lei, and even the other third-generation disciples who have been disciples for hundreds of years, such as senior brother Xian Tian, senior brother Xian Yu, and so on, are all chasing after him, hoping to catch up to his footsteps. At this point, perfected Du Feng smiled bitterly and helplessly. However, every time we make some progress, we suddenly realize that we are actually left further behind when he appears. At this point, perfected Du Feng turned to look at Wang Qi and patted his shoulder. You've just started. You still have a lot of opportunities to catch up. Although we're still catching up, we know that our chances are decreasing bit by bit. Our hopes are getting slimmer and slimmer. Wang Qi said, I heard that Perfected Lu has already announced that he has accepted junior brother Tian Yu as his disciple during the Sex Pill Pavilion examination. Du Feng could hear the envy in Wang Qi's words. He smiled and said, Not really. That Tian Yu's alchemy skills are indeed not bad. He was able to refine core forging pills at the blood condensation realm. His talent is not far from junior brother Lu's back then. However, he has to at least step into the core forging realm before he can become junior brother Lu's disciple. You might have a chance to become junior brother Lu's disciple before he does. Wang Qi smiled bitterly. How can it be so easy? If I could become Perfected Lu's disciple, I wouldn't have waited until now. Back then, 6 or 7 of us saw perfected Lu practicing swordsmanship at Visible Sun Peak. After that, we were sent to Huangli Island by perfected Xianyuan in hopes of becoming perfected Lu's disciple. However, after a few decades, the rest of us have already become perfected Lu's disciples. 2 or 3 of us have already entered the core forging realm. Only Tianyu and I are still persevering. Now, Tianyu, who is the weakest among us, has caught perfected Lu's eye. And it's because of his alchemy skills. Du Feng knew that Wang Qi was unable to see the situation clearly and had misinterpreted the meaning of his words. However, he didn't plan to explain. He said, "Prepare to break through to the core forging realm in seclusion. I'll ask Senior Uncle Xiansen to transfer a small spirit vein to your secret room on Frost Island." Wang Qi said in surprise, "Didn't you say that you wanted me to suppress myself and build a stronger foundation? How come you're allowing me to break through to the core forging realm after just a year on Frost Island? There are many cultivators of our sect on this island, and there are only a few small spirit veins. Senior Uncle, can you ask for a spirit vein from Senior Uncle Xiansen?" Du Feng smiled. "You don't have to worry about the spirit vein. With your strength, you could have formed your golden core a long time ago. You were just preparing yourself earlier." Wang Qi nodded thoughtfully and said, "All right then, I'll go into seclusion. Even if I can't become perfected Lu's disciple, as long as I can enter the core forging realm, I'll have the capital to start my own sect." Du Feng looked meaningfully at Wang Qi, who was walking away, and said, "The core forging realm is just the beginning." Lu Ping stayed in the secret room for a month. It wasn't because he was recovering his true essence or sorting out his bloodline, but because he was studying the 2 great talismans in his Dan Xia that were fused with the talismans and fluctuated around his golden core. There were 2 of them. In reality, when Lu Ping executed the art of Sea of Mulberry Fields on Huangli Island, the Dan Xia had already changed. The water control art, wave treading art, sea deceiving art, and blue tide art had merged together in the Dan Xia when Lu Ping executed the art of Sea of Mulberry Fields and formed a brand new art of Sea of Mulberry Fields talisman. Therefore, when Lu Ping executed the Sea of 100 Rivers sword art outside Frost Island this time, he didn't think that it would form a combined talisman on the spot. However, when the talisman started to form, it didn't surprise Lu Ping too much. Other than these 2 great talismans, there were also a few other talismans at the edge of the Dan Xia. However, these talismans didn't originate from the North Sea wave listening art that Lu Ping cultivated. Instead, they were formed from the other divine abilities and secret arts that he practiced. Therefore, he was forced to stay far away from the Dan Xia by the 2 great talismans and didn't dare to overstep his boundaries. After Lu Ping came out of seclusion, he went straight to visit Tian Shuelaozu. From afar, he saw Spiritual Master Xiansen walking out of the palace and stopped when he saw Lu Ping. "How did you do it?" "What?" Spiritual Master Xiansen's clueless question caused Lu Ping to be a little confused. "A spirit vein. How did you manage to guide a spirit vein into your seclusion secret chamber without the control of an array disk?" "So it was this matter." Lu Ping looked at Spiritual Master Xiansen's serious face and knew that although he didn't take this matter to heart, Spiritual Master Xiansen, who was currently in charge of the affairs of Frost Island, wouldn't let it go. If Lu Ping was able to strip the spirit vein from the formation so easily, wouldn't that mean that Lu Ping could collapse the entire island's protective formation at any time? He didn't think of this at that time. He was too careless. "Senior Uncle, you forgot that the formation of Frost Island was created by Xianqin. Spiritual Master Xianqin is also his direct disciple, so this disciple has some understanding of this formation. At that time, the matter was urgent. This disciple used it first." Spiritual Master Xiansen also knew about the matter of the Linglong wine cauldron. However, only those who could truly subdue her would know what the use of this spirit treasure was. Naturally, Lu Ping wouldn't reveal the use of the Linglong wine cauldron. Therefore, he could only use this far-fetched reason. "So that's how it is." Spiritual Master Xiansen looked at Lu Ping skeptically. However, in these past few years, this little fiancé of Lu Ping had gradually gained a certain status in the sect. Other than Lu Ping, when Tian Shuelaozu tried to take over Huangli Island, It was because spiritual master Xianqun firmly controlled the island's protective formation that he was able to preserve 20% of the spirit vein in Lu Ping's cave dwelling. Although Tian Shu Laozu wasn't a formation master, it wasn't that he didn't have any cultivators who were proficient in formations. However, in the fight for the control of Huangli Island's protective formation, Laozu still couldn't win. This even caused Tian Shu Laozu to think that spiritual master Xianqun was the one who was controlling the island from behind. After this incident, everyone in Jinling started to pay attention to this disciple who already had the strength of a formation master. They realized that she wasn't just a vase hiding behind Lu Ping's back. It was no wonder that every time Lu Ping went out, he would entrust all the matters of Huangli Island to her without worry. Looks like I have to invite senior sister Xianqun over to repair the island's protective formation. Now that I think about it, this mother-child traction formation was set up by senior sister Xianqun when she just became a formation master. No wonder there were some flaws. Now that she has received the formation inheritance from Ying Tian sect, senior sister Xianqun has been studying formations for many years. Her progress in the path of formations can be said to be tremendous. I believe that she will be able to set up this mother-child traction formation even more perfectly. After bidding farewell to spiritual master Xiansen, Lu Ping arrived at the temporary imperial residence. However, he saw that Tian Shui Laozu seemed to be waiting for him. "Brat, why did you come to Frost Island this time? Don't tell Laozu that I came here to show off your sword divine ability." Lu Ping hurriedly smiled and said, "Of course not. With you, Laozu, there's no need for this disciple to show off. It's just that my hands were itching for a moment. This time, this disciple came here with a request." "Oh, so it's just that your hands were itching for a moment." Tian Shui Laozu purposely missed the last part of Lu Ping's sentence and said, "You went into seclusion in a secret room for more than a month right after you came to Frost Island. Just because your hands were itching for a moment?" Lu Ping knew that he couldn't hide it from Tian Shui Laozu. He smiled and said, "Senior Grand Uncle's eyes are as sharp as a torch. However, this disciple really didn't think that I would be able to condense a divine ability talisman. It's not like I had no other choice." Tian Shui Laozu finally nodded in satisfaction. However, she still asked doubtfully, "Tian Ling doesn't have such a powerful divine ability. From the looks of it, it's similar to when you fused all kinds of great divine ability talismans to form a supreme divine ability. However, you're only at the 9th level of the core forging realm right now. You haven't even condensed your Dharma idol yet, but you've already reached such a level. It's really surprising." Lu Ping didn't know how much Tian Shui Laozu knew. However, she had already understood most of what had happened in Lu Ping's heart space. Lu Ping hesitated for a moment before probing, "Senior Grand Uncle, you?" Tian Shui Laozu waved her hand and said, "You don't have to say any more. Laozu, I don't have any intention of probing your background. I'm just feeling a little emotional. How many Dharma adepts tried to cultivate a supreme divine ability but failed? You, on the other hand, managed to fuse a great divine ability talisman before you even entered the Dharma realm. If that's the case, after you condense your Dharma idol, won't you directly form a supreme divine ability?" Chapter 882. Tell me, why did you come to Frost Island this time? Tian Shui Laozu quickly changed the topic and asked Lu Ping. Lu Ping smiled embarrassedly and said, "Actually, I came to Frost Island for 2 things. The first is to exchange some top-grade spirit stones from Senior Grand Uncle. The second is to ask for 2 restriction-breaking talismans from Senior Grand Uncle." "Oh, are you preparing to advance to the Dharma manifestation realm? But what are you going to use the restriction-breaking talismans for? Could it be that you've discovered some kind of relic or treasure?" The expected rejection didn't happen. Instead, Lu Ping was surprised for a moment. However, he quickly hid his surprise and said, "The cultivation method disciple is cultivating is a little special. If I want to advance, I need a large amount of spiritual energy. This situation will probably worsen when I break through to the Dharma manifestation realm. So, disciple is just preparing for a rainy day." As for the items I want to exchange, Disciple has a batch of world spirit items with me. I wonder if Senior Grand Uncle is satisfied. Lu Ping didn't say what the restriction-breaking talismans were for. However, the news of world spirit items still attracted Tian Shui Laozu's attention. World spirit items? How many do you have? Tian Shui Laozu didn't know that Lu Ping had returned from the mysterious Sky Ancient City's underground trade fair with great rewards. She obviously thought that the batch Lu Ping mentioned was at most a few items. Looking at the quality, it would only be a matter of 3 to 5 top-grade spirit stones. Lu Ping didn't say how many world spirit items he had. Instead, he asked, Senior Grand Uncle, how do you want to exchange world spirit items for top-grade spirit stones? Tian Shui Laozu looked at Lu Ping suspiciously and said, how many world spirit items do you have? From your tone, it seems like it's not a small number. Are you trying to dig a pit for me, Laozu? Lu Ping really wanted to slap himself. Playing tricks in front of this person who had lived for almost 1,000 years, wasn't he just looking for trouble? Lu Ping hurriedly said, I only gained something from the underground trade fair in the Tianxin ancient city. Naturally, it is not worthy of your discerning eyes. Although Tian Shui Laozu did not pursue the matter, she was still on guard. She said, although the spirit stone mine on Frost Island is considered a rich mine, the production of spirit stones is also limited. Moreover, the number of Dharma adepts in our sect has increased rapidly. Naturally, the amount of spirit stones needed has increased as well. Therefore, the amount that can be allocated to you is not much. This is also because of the spirit of heaven and earth. Otherwise, even if you had gotten permission from Tianling, you would not be able to take one from me, Laozu. Lu Ping hurriedly flattered him and said, Senior Granduncle is impartial and impartial. Otherwise, why would he ask you to guard Frost Island? Seeing the satisfied expression on Tian Shui Laozu's face, Lu Ping quickly struck while the iron was hot and said, Senior Granduncle, how do you think the exchange method should be? Tian Shui Laozu stopped smiling. She glanced at Lu Ping and said, normally, an earth middle grade spirit stone would be worth around 400 to 500 upper grade spirit stones. Although the spirit chi contained within a spirit stone is equivalent to 100 upper grade spirit stones, the rarity of spirit stones means that it is impossible to exchange using this method. However, this time, Laozu, I will let you take advantage of me. Let's exchange it according to the exchange rate of 1 earth lower grade spirit stone for 1 spirit stone. How about it? Lu Ping looked at Tian Shui Laozu's you have taken advantage of mean expression. He couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, Senior Granduncle, you are the one who has taken advantage of me. No matter how precious the spirit stones are, it is impossible to exchange it according to your method. Otherwise, wouldn't this disciple's trip to the Middle Lands be in vain? Tian Shui Laozu immediately sighed and said, Brat, you don't know the value of rice and fuel unless you are in charge. Do you know how many spirit stones are produced in Frost Island's spirit stone vein every year? This batch of spirit stones can be said to be the most precious resource in the spirit stone vein. Every year, when the sects divide the spirit stones, more than half of their efforts are focused on this batch of spirit stones. This time, Laozu, the reason why I agreed to exchange it with you is because of the things you have done for the sect. Otherwise, how could a core forging realm disciple have a share of spirit stones? Lu Ping naturally knew what Tian Shui Laozu was talking about. If it wasn't for the sect's agreement, no matter how many spirit treasures Lu Ping had in his hands, he wouldn't be able to exchange them for spirit stones. To a Dharma plane cultivator, a spirit stone was equivalent to a spirit treasure to a core forging realm cultivator. Furthermore, the spirit chi contained within a spirit stone was pure and thick. When a cultivator used it to cultivate, it would rarely cause a wastage. Based on Lu Ping's current spirit chi capacity, even if Lu Ping used the method of seclusion, if the spirit chi within a spirit stone exploded, it would be enough for Lu Ping to practice the North Sea wave listening art for 10 days and nights without rest. Of course, this situation was unrealistic. After the spirit stone exploded, most of the spirit chi would evaporate before it could be absorbed. In reality, a spirit stone's usage time was far longer than 10 days. This was because no matter which cultivator went into seclusion, they wouldn't just rely on spirit chi alone. Spirit veins and the spirit chi that drifted between heaven and earth were the foundation of a cultivator's cultivation. Spirit stones could only be used as a support. Furthermore, without using a secret technique like the spirit explosion art that could stimulate the spirit chi within a spirit stone in a short period of time, the spirit chi within the spirit stone couldn't be absorbed by the cultivator without a limit. If it was based on the spirit chi, the speed at which the spirit chi was released would be far from the speed at which the cultivator absorbed the spirit chi during the process of cultivation. Thus, no cultivator could purely rely on spirit stones to maintain their cultivation speed. However, spirit stones could maintain a stable spirit chi output rate. This was something that the spirit chi that drifted between heaven and earth and spirit veins couldn't achieve. However, during the process of cultivation, cultivators had an unusual pursuit for a stable supply of spirit chi. Thus, even though spirit stones could only be used as a support for a cultivator's cultivation, it was an indispensable support. The higher the quality of the spirit stone, the more it could adjust the spirit chi output rate during cultivation, allowing it to maintain a stable cultivation speed. This way, the spirit chi output rate wouldn't fluctuate and affect the cultivator's foundation. Lu Ping could only chuckle. That's good. We'll exchange according to Grand Uncle's standard. However, there are some heaven and earth spiritual items that have special effects. Their value far surpasses other spiritual items of the same rank. There's no need for disciple to say more. At worst, disciple can just keep it and not exchange it. Tian Shui Laozu sneered, "How many do you have on you?" Before Tian Shui Laozu's words could even finish, Lu Ping had already taken out over 20 boxes from his storage artifact. Tian Shui Laozu pointed at the spirit sealing boxes on the ground. Glaring at Lu Ping, she asked in a sharp voice, "Are all these heaven and earth spiritual items? Where did you get so many spiritual items from?" Lu Ping didn't say a word as he opened the spirit sealing boxes one by one. Some of the spirit sealing boxes contained the same spiritual items. Thus, there were more than 2 spiritual items inside. Thus, the total number of heaven and earth spiritual items in the 20 over boxes was more than 40. Tian Shui Laozu lowered her head to look at the spiritual items before raising her head to look at Lu Ping. However, she couldn't say a single word. Lu Ping also didn't say a word as he waited for Tian Shui Laozu to fulfill her promise. Tian Shui Laozu closed her eyes. No one knew what she was thinking. After a moment, she let out a long breath and said, "Luckily, they are all mystic rank spiritual items." According to the principle of 1 for 3 exchange for different spiritual items, 3 upper grade mystic rank spiritual items could be exchanged for 1 peak grade spirit stone. Of course, if there was a spiritual item like the azure spiritual fire that was extremely useful for concocting pills, the value would be different. At least from Lu Ping's point of view, upper-grade mystic rank azure spiritual fire was sufficient to exchange for 1 peak-grade spirit stone. Of course, the 40 or so spirit items weren't all from the mystic heavenly ancient city. There were also treasures that Lu Ping had accumulated through various means over the years. Among them, there were more than 10 mystic high-grade spirit items, more than 10 mystic mid-grade spirit items, and nearly 10 mystic low-grade spirit items. After a round of bargaining, Lu Ping only obtained a total of 10 peak-grade spirit stones. In the end, Tian Shui Laozu still gave Lu Ping another 2 peak-grade spirit stones as a reward since Lu Ping had obtained so many spiritual items for the sect. The total amount of peak-grade spirit stones that Lu Ping had accumulated over the years was only around this amount. Furthermore, he had used up a few peak-grade spirit stones to travel back and forth to the Middle Earth and executing the vast sea mulberry fields art. Tian Shui Laozu was satisfied as she kept all the spiritual sealing boxes that Lu Ping had placed on the ground. Fortunately, we have accumulated a batch of peak-grade spirit stones as a reserve. Otherwise, in order to obtain these spiritual items, I might have to summon my sect's Dharma idol, Laozu, to gather all the Dharma idol, Laozu. Lu Ping naturally knew that it wasn't because Laozu didn't have 8 to 10 peak-grade spirit stones on him. Instead, it was because it would be extremely difficult for him to have 8 to 10 peak-grade spirit stones on him. Lu Ping smiled. Martial uncle, how do you want to exchange for this restriction-breaking talisman? Tian Shui Laozu's brows twitched. Surprised, he asked, it's also a spiritual item? Lu Ping smiled, yes. Tian Shui Laozu sat up straight and asked curiously, how many spiritual items do you have on you? Before the negotiation, Lu Ping naturally wouldn't reveal anything. He only said, this disciple only wants restriction-breaking talismans with at least 5 colors. Tian Shui Laozu sneered, what a big tone. Since you want to exchange, then I, Laozu, will not bicker with a junior like you. A 5-color restriction-breaking talisman for an Earth mid-grade spiritual item. A 6-color restriction-breaking talisman for an Earth high-grade spiritual item. A 7-color restriction-breaking talisman, N, a heaven low-grade spiritual item. What? This time, it was Lu Ping's turn to be unable to sit still. Martial uncle, you must be joking. A 5-color restriction-breaking talisman for an Earth mid-grade spiritual item. It's just a talisman. You have already obtained the complete inheritance of Ing Tian Sec's restriction-breaking talisman. If you want to draw a restriction-breaking talisman, wouldn't it be a piece of cake? Why would you need an Earth mid-grade spiritual item? Tian Shui Laozu sneered. Brat, I won't ask you what you need the restriction-breaking talisman for. That restriction-breaking talisman inheritance came from you. I heard that you specialize in the creation of restriction-breaking talismans. Why don't you tell me, what kind of preparations are needed to draw a 5-color restriction-breaking talisman? Lu Ping's previous imposing manner immediately dissipated. The creation of a restriction-breaking talisman wasn't only because of its high difficulty. More importantly, the materials used to create it were expensive and hard to come by. Chapter 883. The creation of a talisman-breaking talisman could be said to be the pinnacle of all talismans. The difficulty of creating it was the highest, and the materials needed to create it were the most precious. However, the success rate was the lowest. The first requirement for a 5-colored talisman to break through restrictions was a relatively complete piece of skin from a Dharma adept. It could be human skin or demon skin. It could even be made from various kinds of top-grade spiritual materials that were as good as the skin of a Dharma adept. A piece of Dharma adept skin, after being processed using various secret techniques, could at most be used to create 3 to 5 5-colored talisman-breaking talisman papers. Other than that, the talisman brush used to create the talisman had to be a special treasure. Lu Ping had a talisman brush with him. Back then, when Xuanju Jinren had returned to the North Sea from the Central Plains, Lu Ping had asked for it from her. Although it was not considered a top-grade one, it was still not bad. As for the cinnabar ink used, it was made from the blood of a Dharma adept and other liquids that were filled with spiritual energy. As far as Lu Ping knew, there were several types of water-based spiritual objects that were the best to use to create the talisman cinnabar. The spirit vein essence milk was one of them. However, thinking about it, even Tian Shui Laozu might not be willing to use the spirit vein essence milk. Even if these things were prepared, the 5-colored talisman-breaking talisman was not something that could be created easily. The success rate of creating a 5-colored talisman-breaking talisman was much lower than the success rate of creating a Dharma adept elixir. Of course, it also depended on the level of the talisman maker. As for the 7-colored talisman-breaking talisman, the requirements were even higher. As far as Lu Ping knew, just the talisman paper used to create the talisman had to be the skin of a mid-Dharma adept. Furthermore, it had to be the skin of a few special types of beasts. Other beast skins had to be at least the skin of a senior demon cultivator to be used to create the 7-colored talisman-breaking talisman. Senior demon cultivators were the Dharma adepts among the demon cultivators. How many of their skins could be preserved in the cultivation world? If this was the case, for Lu Ping to be able to use a mid-grade Earth-level spiritual object to exchange for a 5-colored talisman-breaking talisman, it was truly a preferential treatment given by the sect. If it was someone else, even if they were to take out a heaven-level spiritual object to exchange for a 5-colored talisman-breaking talisman, Tian Shui Laozu would reject it without hesitation. A 5-colored talisman, breaking talisman, breaking talisman, breaking talisman, and above was considered a trump card in any sect. It was almost impossible for it to be traded. Helplessly, Lu Ping took out 5 spirit sealing boxes and said, Senior Grand Master, Senior Grand Master, breaking talisman, 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 breaking talisman. The heavenly snow forefather glared at him with a pair of murderous eyes and said, Just how many Earth-grade phase do you have on you? Lu Ping hurriedly said, No, there are only these 5 mid-grade Earth-rank items. Tian Shui Laozu had an expression of disbelief as he replied, Don't even think about 5-colored restriction-breaking talismans. According to the sect's rules, we will definitely not give the talisman to an individual. Even rewards are out of the question. However, Tian Ling and senior brother Tian Xiang have spoken up for you. I, Laozu, can only give you 3 at most. Lu Ping was helpless. He could only retrieve the 2 jade boxes on the ground. As for Tian Shui Laozu, when she saw Lu Ping's actions, she unhappily threw out 3 spiritual sealing boxes. Lu Ping didn't even look at them before keeping them. After that, Lu Ping took out 2 boxes and grinned as he said, Martial Granduncle, these are 2 high-grade Earth-rank spirit objects. 2 6-colored restriction-breaking talismans. Tian Shui Laozu was currently on the verge of flying into a rage. However, she was, after all, the first generation of Jinling's Laozu. Thus, she couldn't bear to part with the 2 high-grade Earth-rank spirit objects that Lu Ping had taken out. This represented that Jinling could nurture at least 2 cultivators who could reach the Transcendence realm in the future. Using it to exchange for 2 5-colored restriction-breaking talismans was a huge loss. Tian Shui Laozu then threw the 2 boxes containing the 6-colored restriction-breaking talismans to Lu Ping. Brat, do you know that for the past few decades, I, Laozu, have been researching the refinement of restriction-breaking talismans? I've used up most of the precious spiritual materials in our sect's reserves. Yet, I've only managed to refine a few 5-colored and above restriction-breaking talismans. Lu Ping scratched his head and said, Of course, this is our sect's secret. Martial Granduncle wouldn't tell this disciple about it. However, the success rate should be extremely low. As Lu Ping finished speaking, he took out the 2 jade boxes. This time, he opened the jade box. Inside, there was a low-grade heaven-rank metal spirit object, sky gold stone. The other one was also a low-grade heaven-rank metal spirit object, but it was a wood-attributed wood root. Tian Shui Laozu looked at the 2 low-grade heaven-rank spirit objects on the ground. However, he didn't take out the 7-colored restriction-breaking talisman that Lu Ping was looking forward to. Instead, he asked curiously, Why do you need so many restriction-breaking talismans? Could it be that you've discovered some incredible ancient treasure? Lu Ping smiled faintly, It's just to be prepared. What if this disciple finds an ancient cultivator's cave dwelling? If I'm unable to open the restriction and lose the opportunity to obtain the treasures, this disciple will definitely regret it to death. Tian Shui Laozu saw that Lu Ping wasn't willing to tell her the reason, so she didn't ask anymore. Instead, she took out a jade box and threw it to Lu Ping. If it's really an ancient cave dwelling, the things inside might not be something that you can eat alone. Even if you can, you won't be able to use that much. Remember to inform the sect about the rest. Lu Ping cried out in grievance, Martial Granduncle is looking down on this disciple. All these years, when did this disciple eat alone? Tian Shui Laozu snorted coldly, You won't eat alone. You're just letting others eat the leftovers. Lu Ping opened the box, and a dense 7-colored radiance burst forth. Lu Ping hastily closed the box again. Martial Granduncle, please give me another one. This disciple has 2 heaven-ranked spirit objects here. Tian Shui Laozu sneered, In the entire sect, there are only a few 7-colored restriction-breaking talismans. Even if you take out a high-grade heaven-rank spirit object, this Laozu will not give you another one. Lu Ping knew that in the entire Jinling sect, only Tian Shui Laozu had the ability to create a 7-colored restriction-breaking talisman. If she didn't relent, This 7-colored restriction breaking talisman could only be created after Lu Ping had advanced to the Transcendence realm. However, she wanted the skin of a demonic beast equivalent to a grand cultivator. Lu Ping couldn't help but shiver. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, "Martial Granduncle, when Tian Dojo opened, this disciple contributed a 7-colored restriction breaking talisman. Furthermore, because of this restriction breaking talisman, our sect was able to choose a spiritual treasure and a pill furnace before the other sections. What do you think?" Tian Shuelaozu's mouth couldn't help but twitch. She reluctantly took out another jade box and threw it at Lu Ping. She scolded, "Get lost, get lost. Don't let me, Laozu, see you again." Lu Ping grabbed the jade box in a flurry. He didn't even care about the 2 heaven-ranked spiritual treasures on the ground. He turned and fled out of the palace. When Tian Shuelaozu saw that Lu Ping had left the palace, she angrily said, "Senior brother, are you really going to spoil this brat? What was the meaning of those words earlier? Are you reminding us not to disappoint him?" "Ha!" Tian Xiang Laozu's voice suddenly rang out in the palace. However, Tian Xiang Laozu was nowhere to be seen. Tian Xiang continued, "He doesn't have such thoughts. However, it's true that he wants to show off his contributions. It's just that he has to do it often. When we were young, when did we like to be restricted by rules? How can the disciples that were nurtured according to the sect's rules have any future? If Zhenling wants to rise and become stronger, we must try our best to tolerate these disciples that don't follow the rules. Tolerance is great." Tian Shuelaozu only grumbled for a while before she immediately changed the topic. She said worriedly, "Recently, Mara's probing attacks on Frost Island have become more frequent. Mara has also started to appear without restraint. It seems like once Mara's calamity breaks out on a large scale in the North Sea, Frost Island will definitely be the first to bear the brunt." Tian Xiang Laozu's voice only sounded after a while. He said, "It can be considered as expected. Mara has an extraordinary intuition towards spirit veins and spirit ores. Frost Island is a high-quality large-scale spirit mine. It's normal for Mara to covet it. This time, if Mara's calamity is calculated well, it might be an opportunity for our sect." Tian Shuelaozu was stunned. She said, "What, senior brother, you mean? Zhenling is growing stronger day by day, and there are more and more Dharma adepts. Even that brat has started to accumulate supreme-grade spirit stones in order to advance to the Dharma stage. How can the little amount of supreme-grade spirit stones that our sect gets from Frost Island be enough?" Just as Lu Ping left the palace, a violent spiritual energy vibration came from the northwest corner of the palace. Following that, a rather large vibration spread out, and the surrounding spiritual energy began to slowly gather towards that direction. Someone had broken through to the core forging stage, and from the looks of it, his foundation was pretty good. He was a good seedling. However, the aura that exploded out was very familiar to Lu Ping. Lu Ping's divine consciousness spread out. The formation in the secret room where the friar was in seclusion could not stop Lu Ping's divine consciousness from peeping in. Venerable Du Feng, who was guarding outside the secret room, seemed to have sensed something. He looked in the direction where Lu Ping was, and a dense sword aura with a murderous aura rushed towards Lu Ping from afar. Lu Ping felt Du Feng's sword aura and could not help but frown. Just how many people has this guy killed all these years? The murderous aura on his body is almost solid. No wonder the bandit name Emotionless Sword has been abandoned, and he has to be called Sword Azura. However, Lu Ping also knew that this was a requirement for Du Feng's cultivation technique and swordsmanship. Although he sighed inwardly, he did not take it to heart. Instead, he turned his attention back to Wang Qi, who had just advanced to the core forging stage. The murderous aura that Venerable Du Feng cultivated was extremely harmful to a cultivator's divine consciousness. Originally, when he saw that someone was spying on him, Du Feng only wanted to give a warning. After all, the divine consciousness that flew over at this time could only be from his own sect. However, he did not expect that the person's divine consciousness would be so strange. It turned a blind eye to Venerable Du Feng's murderous aura. Instead, it became even more intense as it observed Wang Qi, who was in the secret room. Venerable Du Feng's expression changed, and his right hand grabbed the hilt of the flying sword. However, he immediately sensed something and let out a long sigh of relief. Not only did he retract his right hand, but he also withdrew the flying sword into his core space. At this moment, a golden flying sword with fine fish scales on its surface flew across the sky. Before Venerable Du Feng could react, the golden flying sword had already entered the secret room where Wang Qi was in seclusion. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.